Good evening and welcome to episode 25 of Loomer Unleashed. I'm your host, Laura Loomer. With the presidential election year here, the public's attention focused on the border, Donald Trump surging in the polls, and important legislation making its way through Congress, it is naturally time for mentally ill psychos to start coming out of the woodwork so that the media has something new to blame on Donald Trump. On Tuesday, a news story took X by storm and quickly found its way into the legacy media. According to reports, 32-year-old Justin Moan killed his federal employee father, beheaded his body, and then took to YouTube to declare himself President of the United States and to encourage the American people to attack the government and go on a murderous rampage against illegal aliens. Moan's video confession was left to sit on YouTube for 5 hours before it was taken down, and he was arrested later that night outside of Fort Indiantown Gap in Pennsylvania, which is known for being a National Guard training center. How convenient, right? Is it that every single time the government or, the media, they need a distracting story or a negative narrative to pin on the right wing of this country and to pin on Donald Trump? Well, there's always a deranged maniac waiting in the wings ready to strike. Isn't that such a coincidence, right? Well, we've seen this happen countless times before. The Batman shooting in Aurora, Colorado a decade ago, the Parkland shooting in Florida, the Uvalde shooting in Texas, right? These all occurred as gun rights were being discussed at the national level, just as they are now. Not to mention all of the discussions that are currently taking place about our border and aid to Ukraine, which, of course, were all mentioned by Justin Moan in his 14-minute long video that he posted to YouTube after he decapitated his father. As with many of these people, Justin Moan was already known by the FBI. We're now learning, in fact, that people had reported him to the FBI, noting that his erratic and deranged behavior could possibly lead to violence. And yet, as we have seen in the past with, many of the stories that are very similar to this, the FBI sat idly by until this guy popped, right? He just snapped. Isn't it a bit strange that this keeps on happening, that the FBI is well aware of all these ticking time bombs, but, they just seem to sit back and let them explode? Surely our FBI wouldn't be letting these things happen on purpose, would they? No. The FBI, right? The Federal Bureau of Insurrectionists? Surely they wouldn't want the narrative of dangerous right-wingers or gun violence to get a boost from actual mentally ill loners on the internet, right? They wouldn't do such a thing. Unfortunately, we know the track record of the FBI and the CIA. These are the same agencies that conducted mind control experiments through MKUltra, which led to their test subjects going violently insane. Also, has anyone ever noticed how many of the recent mass shooters and violent criminals in the country, who many suspect were engaged in MKUltra experiments, all have orange hair, which is the same color that MKUltra patients had their hair dyed? Just something interesting that you should all go look up sometime. Just a little fun fact. Anyway, we also know that the FBI will happily entrap people and convince them to carry out violence. This happened recently with the Gretchen Whitmer incident. Remember her, the governor of Michigan, where the FBI infiltrated a right-wing militia, and then what did they do? They pressured them into trying to kidnap the governor. But of course, at the end of the day, we all found out that it was the idea of the FBI to do this. Nobody actually really wanted to kidnap the governor of Michigan. Then, of course, you have January 6th, which had significant Fed involvement and was basically one giant entrapment honeypot. As for the media, they would like nothing more than to paint Trump supporters as deranged domestic terrorists. That has been part of their agenda ever since 2016. You see, these people believe that if they can swing enough public perception in their favor, that the Democrats will have all the cover they need to put MAGA supporters in jail. That is, unironically, their goal, though. You see, they want us defeated, dead, and even locked up behind bars. Just look at what they're trying to do to President Trump right now. However, their problem this whole time has been the fact that the majority of Trump supporters are earnest, God-fearing patriots who actually respect law and order, believe it or not. They are people with families and with careers and with real concern for our nation and its decline. That is the opposite of the kind of person that would behead their father and plan to attack a National Guard base for no real reason. In fact, if you look into the Justin Moan character, you'll quickly see that this guy was not a conservative or a Trump supporter at all. In fact, according to some of his old social media posts that were recovered before they were conveniently and suspiciously scrubbed from the internet by big tech, Moan regularly wrote to Trump during his first administration, warning that he would be starting a revolution to overthrow him as president. That's not something that a supporter of President Trump would be doing. He seems to have spent the last several years reading and writing esoteric, schizophrenic books and planning the inevitable bloody revolution that he fantasized about and talked about extensively in his 14-minute recorded video manifesto. He appears to be more of a sovereign citizen type, though, than an actual conservative patriot. This is reflected in his insane video where he declared himself the President of the United States of America and the leader of all active militias. How convenient for the Senate Democrats as they are currently trying to drive through legislation at this very moment, right? As this guy carried out this beheading and then called on all militias, right, to carry out violence against all federal employees. How convenient for the Democrats that they were at the same time trying to push through legislation to ban all militias. Wow, what a coincidence. It is very obvious that this guy, Justin Moan, has been on a long spiral of insanity for years, but like many people who are insane and mentally ill, he never received any mental health assistance despite being reported to the FBI several times, which we are now learning. Which takes me to the larger point, okay? There is a serious mental health crisis in our country, and modern society is not providing the answers that many of us are seeking. So whether or not the FBI or the CIA influenced this guy, he was obviously extremely troubled for most of his life. And not only are there no real services for somebody like him and many others who are probably going to snap and do something very similar, but all of these issues that we see in this video, right, demonstrated by Justin Moan and others who have carried out similar attacks and have said similar things or gone on shootings or stabbings with manifestos, all of these issues are exacerbated by modernity. We live in a hyper-stimulating society where smartphones, social media, and television are constantly bombarding us. We are incessantly hit with the latest terrible news, the next trend, and the newest product. And the cumulative effect of this can even send a normal, well-adjusted person's mental health plummeting. Even worse, the choices of our government in recent decades have produced a society which operates on anarcho-tyranny. Trump supporters have the book thrown at them by the judicial system, yet drug dealers and violent criminals in the cities get slaps on the wrist. American citizens must pay ever-increasing taxes while trying to keep up with the cost of living, yet illegal aliens get to enter our country and live off government handouts. And even worse, as we saw in New York City this week in a video that has now gone viral, even when illegals, right, commit violent crimes like attacking police officers, and even after it's caught on video and these people are arrested and booked, they're quickly released as a result of Democrat policies, and then they're given pro bono legal representation by leftist lawyers who are hell-bent on protecting and rewarding the most depraved people who have made their way inside our country. Average people work long hours for mediocre pay, but degenerate social media influencers and porn stars make millions a month on TikTok and OnlyFans. The way our society is currently functioning is insane. So is it any surprise that people are being driven to insanity and snapping and recording themselves going crazy in Joe Biden's America? I'm sure that some of you feel crazy just watching what is happening in our country. And tonight, I'm going to play some of Justin Moan's video so that you can see firsthand just how bad the mental health crisis in America has gotten and how Joe Biden and his policies are literally getting people killed. Now, I have to warn you that this is an extremely graphic and disturbing video, and so I'm going to give you enough time to decide whether or not you want to watch this episode. We are going to do our best to try to not show the most graphic part with the beheading, but you may see it, right? I hope that the video editor edited this clip the right way, but you might see some graphic images tonight that could be very traumatizing or disturbing. And so if you have children near you, because this is a family-friendly show, just be aware that we are going to be playing this video because you need to see just how the current political landscape in this country is driving people mentally ill. So when morality is removed from society, is it really a surprise when people snap and go on violent rampages? I don't really think this is a surprise, honestly. I'm surprised that more people haven't reacted this way. But sadly, this is becoming the norm in our society. Ultimately, right, this is just another clear indication. This is just another clear indication that we must return to the moral and social foundations that once made this nation so great. Sure, there were always some crazies out there, but things were far more cohesive when the majority of Americans cared deeply about their faith, their community, and their national pride. Those days are gone now, sadly, right? Those days are long gone. I don't think we're ever really going to go back to a point of normalcy in this country, despite what people say. But they don't have to be gone forever. You see, that's one of the elements of the MAGA movement that is so compelling. We yearn to be a great country again, and every single time a news story like this breaks, we should focus not on the wild details, but on the fact that this wouldn't have happened a few decades ago before the Democrats fundamentally transformed America into a degenerate and depraved society. The depravity and barbarism of Justin Moan's video is a clear reminder to why those of us in MAGA are in the movement that we are in and why we support President Trump. We are on a mission to keep fighting so that we can bring back sanity, safety, morality, and stability to our American society that we will hopefully someday make great again.
There is a young female journalist, conservative journalist by the name of Laura Loomer.
If America's men acted like Laura Loomer, our problems will be fixed in about 5 minutes.
Chained herself to
She
Twitter.
chained herself.
Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 25 of Loomer Unleashed. Some of you may have seen this story, some of you may have not. I think it's gone pretty viral by now, and the media's obsession with it has made it so that a lot of you probably have heard about it. We have this story. We'll get it up on the full screen here. Man decapitates his father, right? The way that the media, though, is trying to portray this story is, man decapitates his father, calls for uprising against the Biden regime, right? They're trying to falsely present it as if this guy is somehow a Trump supporter. He's not a Trump supporter, actually, as I just explained to you in the opening monologue. Let's get this up on the screen. But of course, that isn't going to stop the media from playing parts of his rant or citing parts of his rant. And we're going to play it for you tonight. And, some of these parts are graphic, but it is of journalistic importance. And so we're going to, you don't actually actually see the physical beheading, so I wouldn't actually call it broadcasting an act of violence. And because Rumble is a free speech platform, I think that everything is going to be fine tonight because we are journalists and this is of relevance to the people. And so probably the most graphic part of this video that you will see if you stay and watch the episode tonight, and it's not going to be on the whole episode, we're just going to play the video so that you can see for yourself how the media is trying to distort this so that you can take this knowledge and tell people that this isn't true, right? This happened in the state of Pennsylvania, and you can see, right, they say, oh, the man decapitates his father, calls for uprising against the Biden regime. Justin Moans has been arrested after posting a YouTube video showing what he claimed was his father's decapitated head. So you can see this article. He's charged with first-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, and possessing an instrument of crime with intent. They said that when they found him at this National Guard facility, he actually had a gun on him, and they think that he was trying to attack this National Guard location. And so it says that the father, Michael Moan, was found beheaded in the bathroom of the home he shared with his son in Levittown. Police said his wife, Denise Moan, discovered the body in the first-floor bathroom after arriving home about 7 p.m. on Tuesday, after which her screams led neighbors to summon police to the scene. Local authorities found the head inside a plastic bag, wow, in a pot, in the first-floor bedroom, according to a police affidavit. Moan reportedly used a machete and a large kitchen knife to sever the body. Both weapons were found in a bathtub in the home, according to documents. The younger Moan was then arrested in his father's car hours later in Fort Indiantown Gap, home of the large National Guard training center more than 100 miles away from the home. We didn't know where he was going and what his intentions were when he left there. Middle Township Police Captain Pete Feeney told NBC News. Fortunately, we were able to get to a location based on his cell phone. His video on YouTube was titled Call to Arms for American Patriots, right? So talk about some major Fed posting. I mean, that's just like an orgasmic title for anybody in the fake news media that is trying to, attack conservatives. Like, oh, wow, because they like to say, oh, well, Democrats don't call themselves patriots. So they're obviously classifying this guy as a conservative and trying to falsely say that he's a Trump supporter, even though we're going to show you tonight some of his social media posts so that you can see firsthand he's not a Trump supporter. But look, these people are just crazy. They'll do anything to smear Trump. The video has since been removed from YouTube for violating the site's policy on graphic content, but reportedly featured a scripted political rant about far left woke mobs. Yeah, that trigger word. The media loves that, right? Because one mentally ill person talks about far left woke mobs, and now the rest of us are not allowed to talk about these far left woke mobs, right? So let's get that back up. Of course, over the course of 14 minutes, as I said earlier, the video is 14 minutes long. Moan raged against the LGBTQ community, the Black Lives Matter movement, and anti-fascist group Antifa, which he referred to as a terrorist organization. He also called for the seizure of federal buildings and claimed that federal employees should be publicly executed for betraying their country. So, yeah, I mean, you see now the media saying, oh, wow, well, this guy's a conservative and he must be a Trump supporter. No, he's not. He talked about his dad a lot. A former friend of Moan's told The Beast he believed in all these conspiracies. The government is putting stuff in the water. They're bugging places to listen to our conversation. His dad was always tied up in them somehow. Okay, so he hated his father because obviously this guy believed that the federal government was destroying our country, and he decided to take his rage or express his rage out on his father, who is an employee of the federal government. So I know that the production room is, having a heart attack right now because they're like, oh, well, we don't want to get the channel banned. I don't think this is going to get the channel banned. We're going to pause at these parts to give you guys appropriate warning. I'm going to ask my producer right now live on air. You're good, right? You got the clip? You know where it is. You know where the timestamp is? Where's the timestamp for people watching so that they know? You're going to cut away when they show the head, and then you're going to play. You're going to pause it, though. We're going to pause it. We just want to make sure that, because these images can be traumatizing, that those of you who want to see it can see it, and those of you who don't want to see it don't have to see it, because unfortunately the video's been scrubbed. And I say unfortunately because, in my opinion, people should be able to watch these videos. If the media is going to talk about something obsessively, and the media is going to try to create a narrative, let's show the Newsweek article, right? You see how Newsweek is saying, is Justin Moan a Trump supporter? What we know. Pull that link up, and you can see that the media is trying to make people think that this guy is a conservative or that he's a Trump supporter, but the reality is that he's not. And so unless people are able to see this information themselves, how are people supposed to come to that conclusion? Can we get that up on the screen, that full graphic? Yeah, let's show that. Is Justin Moan a Trump supporter? What we know. So this is the type of narrative spinning that is coming out of the fake news media as they try to convince you that this crazy guy who decapitated his federal employee father is a Trump supporter when he's not. We're going to show the video, and we're going to show the head. I think that we should show the head. But we're going to pause it beforehand. Let's take a vote in the chat, right? Because we're having a debate right now. If you want to see the full head, and I'm only willing to show it out of respect for journalism, because I do think that all of you should be able to see this story for itself without the media trying to editorialize it for you. Let's go to the chat really quick and see what people want to see. Do you want to see it? If you want me to play the full video without censoring the head, it's not like you see him chopping the head off. You just see the head in a plastic bag, and then he puts it down. Do you want to see it, or do you prefer that we cut away from the head? Press 1 if you want to see the head. Press 2 if you don't want to see the head. I guess it's pretty mixed. Some people say play it all. Well, we're just going to pause it, and then we're going to cut away and fast forward because there's just so many twos. There's ones, there's people that want to see it, and there's people that don't want to see it. So I guess I'm a little conflicted on whether we show it because some people want to see it and some people don't. We could always just post a link, but some people want to see it. I don't think that it's going to get the channel banned. I don't think so. It's journalistic. I mean, we're not promoting anything. This is a news story, so. You need to stop and comment as we go. I think that we're gonna play it in segments, and then we'll stop and we'll let you know. If you don't want to see it, it's literally only on for 2 seconds when he shows the head. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start and we're going to play this video. No. Okay, go ahead, play the video. Yes. Okay, then the video starts with the head. So if you don't want to see the head, close your eyes. Just fast forward the part before, just don't show the head. I don't want there to be like a major issue from this. If people want to see it, fine. Okay, the video starts with him showing a head. So I'm just going to explain it. He picks it up, okay, and he says, this is the father of my, this is the head of my father. That's the first 10 seconds of the video, and then he puts it down. There's too many people that say he doesn't want to see it, that say they don't want to see it. And then there's people that say they do want to. I want to respect everybody. So, we'll find a way to make it available to those of you who want to see it. But we're just going to not show the decapitated head out of respect for the dead. And we're not necessarily censoring it because we'll make it available. And so if you really want to see it, you can reach out. But I know that some people watch this with their children. So I don't want to cause any trauma. So let's make sure that it's fast forwarded, please, in production.
And my father.
Okay.
He is now in hell for eternity as a traitor to his country. It is said that those who commit treason and betray others occupy the lowest pits of hell for all time. The federal government of America has declared war on America's citizens and the American states. America is rotting from the inside out as far-left, woke mobs rampage our once prosperous cities, turning them into lawless zones. Taxpayer dollars are printed and used for anything but the taxpayers, with little to no accountability, which has inflated the economy to near destruction and has made it so most Americans can no longer afford the American dream. Meanwhile, a fifth-column army of illegal immigrants infiltrates our border, and if the traitorous Biden regime is successful in sending America's military overseas to fight for Ukraine and die in a Russian winter, just like every other military who has ever fought Russia in the winter, then America will be less protected when the fifth column of illegal immigrants strikes Americans on our own soil.
Pause it.
My name...
Okay, so as you can see here, right? He's using pretty inflammatory language in the sense that he's clearly reading a script, okay? He's reading a script and he wrote this out. He thought about it. This was premeditated. It's not like he killed his father and then sat around and started ranting into a camera. No, he thought about it and he I don't think it was live streamed. It was posted. It was posted with him reading it, so he clearly thought about it. It's not like this was just a random act of violence. You have to clearly plan this out to get a kitchen knife, get a machete, wrap a head, and then type out a script. This is a 14-minute long message, so he clearly, when you think about how long 14 minutes is on paper, that's probably about 25 pages, right? So think about how long it takes to type out 25 pages in a Word document. And he must have spent a lot of time on this. I mean, I just can imagine, right? Because how long does it take you to write 3 pages, or let alone 25 pages? And so it's interesting the way that the media is trying to, pin this on conservatives, because you'll notice that he's talking about Ukraine. He's talking about the border. And what is the big debate that's going on right now in Congress? Well, it's about whether or not we're going to have a standalone border bill or whether or not we're going to have an attachment for aid to Ukraine. Okay, so, it's very convenient for the media and the Democrat Party, right, and the uniparty rhinos for something like this to come out so that they can try to deflect from actually giving people what they want, which is a standalone border bill and no more aid to Ukraine, because the media is now able to take this guy's words and say, oh, look at this guy who just killed his federal employee father. This is the same thing that right-wingers are saying. And it's just not the truth, right? He clearly is mentally ill, even if he says some things that some people may agree with politically. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's a representative of the right wing or that he is a representative of the MAGA movement, because he's not a Trump supporter. But this is how the propaganda is spread. And also, too, I find it to be really interesting that this took place in Pennsylvania, a swing state, a key election state that people are talking about right now, where President Trump is leading Joe Biden. And obviously that's very triggering to the left-wing media. And then when you look at the things that he's mentioning, right, the uprising against the Biden regime, as Joe Biden is going around the country talking about how the biggest threat to democracy are MAGA extremists. It just fits their Democrat narrative so that they can continue spreading lies and demonizing conservatives. We're going to continue playing the video. Don't worry. Like I said, the decapitated head part was in the beginning, and we skipped that because I don't know which of you have this on in your home with your children, and I don't want any kids to be traumatized. So go ahead.
Illegal immigrants strikes Americans on our own soil. My name is Justin Moan. I'm the commander of America's national network of militias, which you may know of as Moan's Militia. I now give the following order for all militia and patriots across the United States of America. All federal employees are to be killed on sight. All FBI, IRS, and other federal law enforcement offices, as well as federal courthouses, are to be sieged around the country. All federal agents, U.S. Marshals, federal judges, and Border Patrol are to be killed or else captured, tortured for information, and publicly executed for betraying their country. Earn your place in heaven by sending a traitor to hell early. I ask America's police, state National Guard, and military veterans to join your countrymen against the traitors in the federal government, unless you want to see Philadelphia and every other major city in America turn into a lawless zone like Portland and San Francisco. While we siege federal buildings and hunt down federal employees at their homes or anywhere else they may be hiding, I ask for local Pennsylvania and New Jersey militia to act as my personal security force and form a protective zone around me to kill any federal agent who attempts to arrest or kill me. Governor Shapiro and other state governors are not to be harmed unless they intervene. The federal government is the enemy, not the state government. If I am captured or killed, do not give up. This is America and our freedoms we are fighting for. This is our children's futures we are fighting for. Joe Biden is no longer in power. I am now officially the acting president of America under martial law. If Joe Biden does not abdicate, then capture him and bring him to me in Pennsylvania.
Okay, this is really crazy, right? This is what I'm saying. This guy is clearly a lunatic. I am now the president of the United States of America. Joe Biden is no longer in charge. I am declaring martial law. I mean, this guy is not all there, clearly. And so, the media can spin this all they want and say that, oh, he's a conservative. Oh, he's a Trump supporter. He's not a Trump supporter. This is a mentally ill individual who is clearly, I think his mental illness has been exacerbated by Joe Biden and the Democrats' policies, because as I said in my opening monologue, the invasion that we're seeing in our country right now, Americans going broke, having to live through inflation, not being able to afford to feed their kids, put gas in their cars, food on the table, while we're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. I don't know what this guy's socioeconomic background was, but if he was living with his parents, he's 32 years old. I don't know. Generally, 32-year-olds don't live with their parents. But it's making people crazy. I mean, I think it's fair to say that a lot of people feel like they're going crazy in this country. Some people have mental illness that is made worse by these by the times that we're living in, just like people's mental illness was made worse during COVID. You saw a lot of increase in suicide rates, depression and anxiety during COVID. I think that it's pretty clear that this guy is a lunatic. But of course, by talking about the Biden regime, and they're going to say, oh, look at conservatives use that same term as well. They call it the Biden regime. They're going to use this guy's mentally ill rant to come after conservatives. But and we're going to show you some of his social media posts later on as well. But you can show this Newsweek article again. Go down, scroll down. So it says, the video, which has been removed from YouTube, was posted by Moan, who is said to have held up his father's severed head in a bag on camera. He went on to blame Joe Biden and the current administration for the destruction of the economy and the situation at the U.S.-Mexico border. Keep on scrolling down. Taxpayer dollars are printed and used for anything but the taxpayers, with little to no accountability, which has inflated the economy to near destruction and has made it so most Americans can no longer afford the American dream. Meanwhile, a fifth column army of illegal immigrants infiltrates our border. I mean, all of those things can be true, and at the same time, it can be true that this guy's a mental case. Okay, so two things can be true at once. Scroll down. Some social media users said that Moan's rhetoric was reminiscent of that used by Trump and the Make America Great movement. Well, see, they say, oh, some people said he follows the MAGA playbook promoted daily by Trump and the GOP. But the reality is that you could see his Facebook post. I think they even actually cited me in this article. See, but they call me a white nationalist. Look at these. They're absolute fuckers, man. These people in the media. I am so sick and tired of people. I have been on a total rager these last few days, just like on my last nerve with these people. I am so sick of the media, and I'm so sick and tired of the lies about my character. Trump ally and white nationalist Laura Loomer attached the statement in a post on X, adding, quote, Moan is not a Trump supporter. He appears to have been driven to a point of snapping by Biden's policies, but his own social media posts show that he didn't like Trump. Well, that's true, right? So if you read, we'll show you a screenshot of the post as well. But part of the post said, even my own family upholds the cult belief and is willing to go to jail to prove it. Donald Trump, if this does not get fixed ASAP, then you will also be in jail for the rest of your life after I sue you for everything you own. That's not a threat. That's a promise, bitch. Does that sound like somebody who supports Donald Trump to you, right? Somebody who calls Trump a bitch? I don't think so. Other posts on X have also echoed Loomer's claim that Moan was not a Trump supporter. While Moan's Facebook profile appears to have been taken offline, Newsweek was also able to verify that the post came from a now defunct account. How are you able to verify it came from a now defunct account, Newsweek, if the account is deleted? Yeah, that's just a fancy way of saying, oh, well, the page was deleted. Yeah, of course you're not going to be able to find it anymore if the actual account was removed. I mean, these people are just such liars, the way that the media lies on a daily basis. It's really crazy. Let's go back to the video. I just wanted to show you how the media lies. And notice, right, I'm Jewish, but of course they have to call me a white nationalist to try to tag me with this, even though I'm just trying to show people the facts. And the fact is that he was critical of Trump and he didn't like Trump. He was not a Trump supporter, even though the media is orgasmic over the thought that, oh God, oh, wow, this guy is a Trump supporter. Yeah, they get off. Okay. The media literally gets off trying to brand psychos and lunatics as Trump supporters. I don't think there's anything more orgasmic for the fake news media than when they see a white guy kill somebody and then they get to say, oh, wow, he's a Trump supporter, you guys. I think they enjoy that more than sex with their own spouse. But let's go back to playing the video.
If Joe Biden does not abdicate, then capture him and bring him to me in Pennsylvania. General Charles Brown, General Lloyd Austin, and all other active American military generals, now is our last chance to retake America from the traitors. Do not order the military against the state militias and America's patriots. We are not your enemy, and I ask the military to join us if they want to see America continue to exist and to uphold their oaths to defend the Constitution. No American military personnel are to be harmed during this revolution by my followers. I am issuing a $1 million bounty on the following individuals alive or $500,000 dead. FBI Director Chris Wray, Attorney General Merrick Garland, ex-Attorney General Bill Barr, and Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts. I am also issuing a $100,000 bounty on the heads of any and all federal judges, such as Judge Mark Kearney, who made it his goal to gut the Philadelphia Police Department of over $1 million of their funds so that Philadelphia would turn into more of a lawless zone. Unless he has recently relocated, Judge Kearney lives at 1077 Stony Brook Drive in Blue Bell, Pennsylvania, 19422. Judge Kearney also recently ruled in Moan v. United States that the federal government has no duty to care for its own citizens, eroding, if not destroying, any remnants of the social contract, which was one of the key ideologies behind the Declaration of Independence and one of the main reasons for the revolution that founded America. There are traitor federal judges such as this installed in courts all across the country, purposely doing the opposite of justice to destroy America from within and carry out a globalist and communist agenda. At this time, I have $10 million to exhaust on these bounties, but while I secure more funds, I hope for Americans to continue fighting the traitor federal government out of love for their country, not out of love for bounties. If you are a federal employee and are listening to this message, now is your last chance to resign from the side of the traitors.
Okay, so we're at the 5 minute mark right now. Actually, we're at the 5 minute and 2 second mark. And so at the 5 minute 4 second mark is when he picks up, let me see, let's do it again. I'm watching it on my screen. You guys can't see this. Let me see it. Go back. Okay, so he shows the head again. So we're going to fast forward that. It's 2 seconds. He just picks up the head again. And you have to ask yourself, does he really have $10 million or is this guy just crazy, right? If he had $10 million, why is he living at home with his parents? And where did he get $10 million from, right? I don't think he really has $10 million. Let's make sure, right? There's no more. That's it? Are you sure? We're just double checking right now to make sure that there's no more head. in the bucket because he puts the head in the pot. It's pretty gross. Okay. So we're good. So go back to the 5:08 second mark. I'm just trying to make sure that none of you guys see a severed head tonight. Wait, are we sure that's it? That's it. Okay. We're good. So the head is down now. So we're going to resume. You're only missing about 4 seconds. Let's go back to the chat because I want to see if people have any questions or what people's thoughts are about this. You can see, right? It doesn't sound like a Trump supporter. That's exactly what people are saying. Let's see. Someone said if I had 10 million, I'd buy a nicer shirt. Anyway, we cut the head out of this part. That's the last time that he shows the head. We're going to keep playing the video clip so that you can see the rest of it. There's probably about 7 more minutes or so, or 9. There's 9 more minutes left. Go ahead and play it.
I urge the U.S. Postal Service to suspend their services at this time, split from the federal government, and join your countrymen, or else I cannot offer federal postal workers any protection. If the media begins to spread lies about this revolution and its patriots, then I authorize the targeting of news stations and their owners and employees as well. The hunting, capturing, and killing of America's federal employees will not stop until Americans' demands are met. Our demands are as follows: the resignation of all current non-military federal employees and the abdication of Joe Biden and his cabinet from the White House, the cancellation of the outstanding public debt as unconstitutional, the ending of the Federal Reserve, and the restoration of Congress's right to print interest-free money, the closing of America's borders to illegal immigrants, and the mass deportation of the millions of illegal immigrants who have entered the country under the Biden regime, which has put Americans in direct harm. The ceasing of any human trafficking, specifically involving children and sex slaves. The ceasing of all woke and gender ideology propaganda in schools and other public places. Most importantly, the capturing and torturing of federal employees and their associates will not stop until the entire network of America's traitors is identified and completely wiped out. This likely includes bribed members of the deep state, labor racketeers of the prison industrial complex, as well as likely some of the globalist leaders of assorted industries, namely the tax-evading big tech companies. For when you produce evidence of treasonous levels of racketeering and tax evasion to the FBI, IRS, and federal courts, they turn a blind eye or sometimes even hide the evidence from the public. So long as Americans support me until the country is secure and we can hold a legitimate election, these demands will be met to restore our economy, revive our once great cities, and return to our ideological and moral roots as a Judeo-Christian nation. Under my leadership, I will also authorize America's police and military to use whatever force necessary to protect and take back America's cities from fifth-column extremist organizations such as the LGBT community, the Black Lives Matter movement, and terrorist organizations such as Antifa, the historically unpeaceful assemblies of which violates the Constitution and so will be met with force and/or imprisonment. These extremist organizations such as Antifa are part of the federal government's systematic, top-down, globalist and communist takeover of America, and we must stop it.
I'm laughing reading all of your guys' comments in the chat because somebody said, with hundreds of well-known America First speakers, who is this rando? I hope you guys don't actually think this is like a guest on the show. No, I think that this guy is reading a script. It just seems a little too convenient given what's going on right now, where he's talking about militias and Ukraine and the border with everything. Like, look today, what happened in Congress? You had the Democrats take a vote. It's just a distraction from what happened today. Today, the Democrats decided that they were going to take a vote, and they voted against. They voted against deporting illegal aliens who are guilty of DUI, driving under the influence, killing people while under the influence driving. So, of course, right? Anybody that criticizes the invasion, they're just going to say is using similar rhetoric to this lunatic online. And it's almost like it's done I'm not saying that it's a psyop or that it was orchestrated by the government, but I'm just pointing out the fact that it is quite convenient for the government that something like this sensational, would be all over the media and all over the news at a time when people really should just be focused on the invasion and the fact that the Democrats are voting to not deport violent, criminal, illegal aliens, and also the fact that illegal aliens are being released from jail in New York City after violently beating police officers. And, well, we're going to talk about a lot of crazy things that have happened over these last few days. But the main focus right now is the border and this invasion that is happening in our country, and anything to distract from that, right? Anything to distract from that. And so I personally think it's really weird and suspicious, especially how they're trying to pin this on Trump, even though the guy's not a Trump supporter. We have his social media post. We have the social media post highlighted. Let me show this to you. Full screen. I'll show you. You can see for yourself the part that I read earlier where he calls Trump a bitch and says that Trump's going to go to jail for the rest of his life because he's going to sue him. Play it or show it on the screen. Yeah. See that? He goes, even my own family upholds this cult belief and is willing to go to jail to prove it. Donald Trump, if this does not get fixed ASAP, then you will also be in jail for the rest of your life after I sue you for everything that you own. That's not a threat. That's a promise, bitch. So these are the ramblings of a lunatic, and he's reading a script. Somebody said I'll be looking for the head video on Rumble. Yeah. We have another social media post here as well. My next book will either be a compilation of short stories about getting famous too fast and almost dying because of it, or about why and how we should peacefully overthrow the United States government. Is Trump smart, strong, or brave enough to help us like Iceland's president did during their revolution? Though my investigative journalism, I solely have proof that he might be too weak, stupid, afraid, and ultimately damned to hell, which I'm willing to publish. So he's talking about how Trump was too weak, right, to be the leader of a revolution. He declares himself president of the United States in his video. This is evidence this guy is not a Trump supporter. I don't know if the media has any interest in showing any of these screenshots. Probably not, because they much rather would continue down their false narrative about how he's a Trump supporter, which is why we decided to dedicate my monologue to this tonight, because I think that stories like this are then used on the campaign trail. You see Democrats then insert things like this into their talking points when they like talking about what they call MAGA extremists or domestic violent extremists, which is what the Democrats like calling Trump and his supporters. And so I think it's really important for you to see the propaganda in real time. Also, I believe we have the screenshot too. I posted this on my Twitter. There's currently legislation right now making its way through the Senate to, do we have that? We have the screenshot of the bill. Let's show that on the screen. So Senate Bill 3589, Preventing Private Paramilitary Activity Act of 2024. So this is currently in Congress, and it was introduced by Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts, a Democrat, of course, in the Judiciary Committee. So, of course, it's in the Judiciary Committee. And this guy says that he is a leader of a militia and that he's the leader of all militias. And then he makes a call to action to all militia leaders to go kill federal employees on site and to also go murder illegal aliens. What a convenient time, right, for this to happen when the Democrats are simultaneously trying to keep our borders open and deny us of a standalone border bill, include more aid for Ukraine, and also try to infringe upon our Second Amendment rights by banning all militias. They definitely would need some kind of crazy poster child that fits all of these storylines that are currently being discussed in Congress right now, right? How convenient. A lot of people don't really know this or put it all together, but you can see, show the screenshot again of the Senate bill. Just interesting, right? How all this stuff happens and how, Apparently he was reported to the FBI and nobody did anything about it. And now the Democrats are trying to push this bill. It's a little weird. I think it's a little weird. We are the party of law and order. That's a good comment. Somebody says, as Trump says, we are the party of law and order. That's right. And this guy is clearly not a person of law and order. So there's a few more minutes. I don't really know if we should spend any more time showing the rest of this. We can. Do you guys want to see the rest of his video? It's 7 more minutes. There's 7 more minutes. If you want to see it, press 1 and I'll show the rest of the video. Or we can move on to talking about other things. We have James O'Keefe coming on the show. So if you want to see the rest of his video rant, there's only 7 more minutes left. Or we can move on. Let's take a vote in the chat. 1, if you want to see the rest of the video. 2, if you want to move on. It's mixed. I mean, a lot of people want to see it. We're not showing the head. People are saying they want to see the head. We also have some of his crazy music, too, that we can play. Apparently, this guy was like a, I don't know, practicing musician, or I guess he had an album called, was it really called Justin's Stalkers? We could play it. We're going to play this for you. It was like Justin Stalkers, and the album was Somebody's Following Me. People want to move on. We can move on. We don't have to play the rest of it. I just wanted to show you guys how the propaganda is presented and why you shouldn't fall from it. Let's see. Here's some of his music.
Hi, Justin. My name is Sha-la-la-la, la-la-la. You're an author. That's so cool. I read your books. You're no fool. You're on your own at 27. But this world you rule is so cool. And you're so kind. So let's be friends. I'll hurdle any obstacles to be with you until the end. My life depends on you. Your words are the only thing I've ever heard true. Where are you? I want to be close to you. You make me feel good. Oh, Justin, where are you? Oh, Justin, where are you? Why don't you reciprocate? You are my mate. For months now I have proved our fate. To be with you, one day we'll date. Don't try to run, you can't escape. I know your route, I know your ways. I've studied you for many days. I know your job and where you stay.
Okay,
And
I think
in
we've
my
had enough
mind,
mental illness for the night.
you should play.
That's just a dose of his music. He's obviously like a paranoid schizophrenic. I mean, it's just not normal. That's his music, apparently. And some of you said, oh, I'm late. What are we talking about, right? We're talking about this guy, Justin Moan, who the media is trying to lie and say is a Trump supporter, and he's not. So I think you guys have seen enough evidence that I've presented to you tonight. 1, he's not a Trump supporter. 2, he's mentally ill. If you want to watch the rest of the clip, you can probably do so on your own time. I think it's time to move on, though, now from Crazyville. We have James O'Keefe coming on in about 20 minutes or so that's going to be really exciting. We also have Loomer Unleashed contributor Charles Downs coming on tonight, and we're going to be going through some of these FEC reports. So before James comes on, we're going to play his latest investigation. You may have seen it. For those of you who are familiar with James O'Keefe, or maybe some of you aren't, he, after leaving Veritas, he asserted his own group now called O'Keefe Media Group. And let's get the article up, because there were some articles written about this today too. It's pretty funny. James O'Keefe went on an undercover date with a gay guy, okay? And he met him on Tinder. And the guy is apparently some kind of, he calls himself like a cybersecurity official with the Biden administration. You could probably pull up some of the articles from Twitter. Just go to Twitter. Just go to James's Twitter account. Let's just look at his feed. And he goes on a date with this guy, and the guy's singing like a parrot, just telling him about how, everybody in the White House thinks that Biden has dementia, and that's he's made his bio the photo there, so you can see that. Here we go. There's a parody of it by the Babylon Bee. That's actually pretty funny. So people are mocking James because, you would think that a Democrat, especially somebody that worked for Joe Biden, would know what James O'Keefe looked like, right? But James only put on glasses, and then he took off the glasses and was like, how do you not know that you're on a date with James O'Keefe? And it was just really funny because this guy admits that Joe Biden's in mental decline and that Joe Biden and the White House officials want to replace Kamala Harris. And here we go, from the Post Millennial. White House official caught on camera admitting Biden mental decline, desire to replace Kamala. Scroll down. A top official in the Biden administration confirmed. Oh, skip that. Let's see. These ads are awful. Confirmed to undercover investigative journalist James O'Keefe that Joe Biden is in mental decline and revealed that the White House wants to replace Kamala Harris as vice president. So Charlie Krager is his name, is a top official in the cybersecurity policy analyst and foreign affairs executive office of the president, or as I like to call him, the resident, because the P is earned and he's illegitimate. He disclosed these groundbreaking revelations to James O'Keefe during an undercover operation published on Wednesday. So you can see there, he thought he was on a Tinder date with James O'Keefe. Krager confirmed that the White House is concerned about Biden's cognitive health, informing O'Keefe that, quote, Biden is definitely slowing down. He also said that, I'm just telling you what I've heard. They're really concerned about it, but no one in modern history has ever said, like, we're not going to renominate the president for a second term. So obviously, it's what we all know to be true, but it's really funny. I just want to know, is there anybody straight who works in the Biden administration, or is everybody just a flaming homosexual? I don't have anything against gay people. I really don't. I have a brother who's gay. I have friends that are gay. Trust me, I have black friends, I've got gay friends. I've got trans friends, you guys. I'm not a racist. I have black friends. No, seriously, though, I have some gay friends, and so I'm definitely not a homophobe. But I just think it's really interesting how everybody is gay in the Biden administration. Like, we have the gay sex scandal where you have the gay staffer that was trying to sleep with people in advance when I think Biden was in Brazil. You have the gay Senate staffer. You have these are Senate staffers, though. And of course, the Capitol Police. I don't know if you guys saw this today. The Capitol Police said that they were not going to be investigating further, and they said no crime was committed. That's separate, though, right? That guy's not a Biden official. But you have Karine Jean-Pierre, the DEI press secretary, whose job I will probably be replacing someday. Maybe. We'll see. Wink, wink. If only I could wink. Wink, wink. I don't really know how to wink, so I just am like going to pretend. Wink, wink. I'm just going to blink. I've always really wished that I could blink, but I can't. It's kind of weird. You know how some people are really good at that, and they they blink? I can't do it, so anyway. But she's the DEI hire, the official DEI hire within the Biden administration, and she's a lesbian. Like, everybody's gay. It just seems like everybody is gay, and even the commercials that we see on TV these days, like, whatever happened to straight white people on my television screen? Have you ever noticed how there's no more straight white people on TV anymore? I don't know what happened, but every single person on my TV is definitely not straight. It's just, I think that you've noticed this, and I've noticed a trend in the Biden administration too, which I'm not surprised, right? I saw a study the other day that said that 1 in 4 millennial adults now identifies as LGBTQ, which is interesting, right? I mean, that seems like a lot. I don't really feel like that's, you mean to tell me that 25% of America is eventually going to be gay? I don't know about that. It's just a little strange to think that it'd be that high. They went from LGBTQ individuals went from comprising less than 2% of our society to now apparently they're trying to tell me that 30% of the people I went to school with are now gay or trans. I don't know. I don't know. It's just, they seem to be pushing out a lot of really questionable studies and questionable statistics. So James O'Keefe just texted me. Let's see. He's about to come on. We can play some of this clip too. Again, it's 13 minutes long, so we could play it before James comes on, or you can watch it yourself. It's at the top of James's Twitter account. Let's go back. I think it's a really funny clip, and it just goes to show you what a joke our country's becoming, because apparently I just can't stop laughing about this. I was doing my hair in the bathroom before coming into the studio to do my show, and I watched this video 5 times already, and I was watching it again. And I almost burned myself with the hair straightener because I was just laughing so hard. Because it's hilarious. This guy is talking about, he's like, yeah, like, I'm a top Biden security official, and my job is to, like, you know, speak for Biden and all the, you know, like, he just talks like a Valley girl, and you're just thinking to yourself, my God, we don't have any meritocracy in this country anymore. It's just a bunch of gay dudes and gay women and DEI hires who have been promoted because of their skin color and because of their sexual preferences as opposed to their intelligence. And so you see this guy sitting there like, yeah, you know, like, it's just really crazy. We all know that Kamala Harris is not qualified, but like, she's black and a woman. So how can you not give her a position? She's black and a woman because, you know, who cares if you're actually qualified if you're black and you're a woman and you're a lesbian or you're gay? It's just like listening to these people rationalize things. It is a form of mental illness. Let's go ahead and play the clip because we have the full clip. And like I said, it's about 13 minutes long, but it's perfectly timed because as soon as the clip ends, we'll have James O'Keefe come on. So let's go ahead and play James's investigation into Charlie Krager, cybersecurity policy analyst and foreign affairs executive office of Joe Biden at the White House.
I work at the White House.
So you're pretty high up in the government.
Yeah, I'm fairly high up. I'm good at keeping secrets, and so I manage 2 federal agencies, the State Department and USAID.
So when you say it's like security, like you're protecting
the networks of the federal agencies
You're
that you give all your information to.
the mission is to protect
Right, yes.
information.
And we are like the president's voice when we go into meetings in terms of discussing and promoting the president's priorities.
Is he going to be the nominee?
Yes. And she will be the vice president nominee.
Yeah, I don't.
There was a debate about removing her from the ticket, but sadly they didn't. She can't keep black
the
staff.
fuck?
They quit on her in mass.
But with him, I
I know.
he's got
I know.
dementia.
Yeah, well, he's definitely slowing down.
Well, they know that he has those issues.
I think so.
But they're not
I mean,
willing
the
to say
polling
it.
shows it. And,
They're not willing to say it
correct.
publicly.
And same thing
But
with
why
Kamala
not?
Harris. Is she's not popular, but you can't remove the first black lady to be vice president from the goddamn presidential ticket. Like,
I
what
see.
kind of message are you going to send to, like, the African-American voter? How would you spin that? People would be like, what the fuck? Like she's a woman and she's multiracial. I think that they're really concerned about this.
But they won't say it. Well, I guess if they say it publicly,
Correct.
that
They can't
Biden
say it
is
publicly.
No. They can't say it
No,
publicly.
they've got to
Do
toe
they
the
say it
line.
privately? But they won't say it publicly.
Correct.
That
They can't
Biden
say it
is
publicly. No.
They can't say it publicly.
No, they've got to
Do
toe
they
the
say it
line.
privately? I mean,
I'm just telling you what I've heard. Like,
you
yep.
You're just telling me the truth.
Does it make sense? No, but that's what I've heard.
Um,
I've had a meeting with Michelle Obama at one point when I was an intern, and someone asked her, will you ever run for office? And she said no, emphatically.
Really?
I've seen all the shit my husband has had to go through, and that does not interest me. People would be like, well, I don't think we should have to get the vaccine. And I'm like, fuck you. It's like, you're not going to get the vaccine, and then you're going to go expose my family in the hospital to your vaccinated COVID. Like, fuck you.
So you work in cybersecurity for the White House, and my question is, what are you doing on a meeting with James O'Keefe? What type of cybersecurity operation are you guys running over there?
We're running a good cybersecurity operation.
Well, obviously not.
If they say it publicly
Correct.
that Biden
Can't say it publicly.
What is this clown show you guys running over at the White House?
Videos like these will be brought to you in part by support with funding from the Citizen Journalism Foundation. Now you can make a tax-deductible donation to support Citizen Journalism Foundation's independent journalism. Please go to citizenjournalismfoundation.com to learn more. Charlie Krager is a cybersecurity policy analyst and foreign affairs desk officer in the executive office of the White House. He manages 2 federal agencies and for the last 4 years worked at the State Department. He works on the president's priorities, executive orders, is a high-up official, and cybersecurity subject matter expert. I met with him undercover on Sunday, January the 21st with my hair dyed, wearing fake eyeglasses. Not only did he not recognize me, he sang like a bird. His social media, which was scrubbed after my initial meeting with him, says he likes long walks on the beach and diplomatic negotiations.
Are you familiar with the Kennedy School at all?
Harvard? What about it?
Yes, I'm in the executive education program there at the Kennedy School.
Really?
Yeah. So I got a job at State Department.
The State
It's
Department.
I essentially started at Georgetown and I applied at State. I went to Georgetown for my master's, where I studied when I joined the security studies program in the School of Foreign Service. So when I was there, I focused on like cybersecurity and technically cyber intelligence. So like the espionage and the spy game that cyber intelligence
You really
agencies
are
play
James
against
Bond,
each other.
aren't you?
I know. My grandmother likes to be like, he's a spy. And my parents are like, you can't say that. Don't tell people. Don't say that.
Don't say that you're a spy.
That makes you like a target. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
but
mean,
no, I'm not a spy. I work at the White House. So
What do you-
I do oversight and management, and so my job is to help oversee like responses to cyber incidents and cybersecurity problems. And so I manage 2 federal agencies, the State Department and USAID. So I have recurring meetings with them where we talk about goals and we talk about the president's priorities and like how are they coming on certain executive order deliverables and like all of this kind of stuff.
Charlie says he's responsible for protecting the networks of the federal agencies.
so when you say it's like security, like you're protecting
The networks of the federal agencies
You're
that you give all your information to.
that through commerce or
Everyone, yeah.
So you're
commerce.
protecting the networks.
Yes. And I'm not like sitting there coding.
Yeah.
I'm meeting with like the senior level decision makers and we're talking about problems.
You're doing
and
it at
issues
senior
and, like,
level.
Yeah.
The
I'm using
mission
code.
is to protect
Right, yes.
information. That's very impressive.
Thanks.
Wow. That's cool. That's really cool, Mr. James Bond.
Charlie Krager, who works in the executive office of the White House, says he's the president's voice, and his mission is to protect networks, promote the president's priorities, work with the Security Council and other parts of the White House.
We are like the president's voice when we go into meetings in terms of discussing and promoting the president's priorities. And,
So you're like the enforcer.
kind of,
You're
yeah.
kind of-
And the State Department people are more difficult, high maintenance. And
Why is that?
They call me demanding.
Why are they more high maintenance in the State Department?
Because the State Department has a big ego. So tell me about you. So you went to Rutgers.
Yeah, I went to Rutgers.
And what did you major in?
Well, I majored in journalism, and I designed brochures and pamphlets. I was very, very good at it. I'm probably one of the best there is. And I'm also very good at sales.
Why do you think you're one of the best artists?
It's 20 years of experience.
Oh, okay.
But what I do is not as interesting as
what you do.
That's okay.
What you do is a movie, I guess, or something.
Charlie Krager, who works in the executive office of the White House, makes his politics crystal clear.
And I had several dates where people would be like, well, I don't think we should have to get the vaccine. And I'm like, fuck you. Because you're not going to get the vaccine and then you're going to go expose my family in the hospital to your vaccinated COVID. Fuck you.
Charlie Krager, who works in the executive office of the White House, got to talking about President Joe Biden. I told him I love everything that Joe Biden does, but asked Charlie about Biden's mental fitness.
I love everything that Biden is doing. I love his policies. Just witnessing it just looks, it's a bad look. I mean, he can't, struggles to talk.
Yes, he's no Barack Obama.
Is he going to be the nominee?
Yes. And she will be the vice president nominee.
Yeah, I don't...
There was a debate about removing her from the ticket, but sadly they didn't.
I agree with everything Biden is doing. It's just his cognitive ability. I have a grandfather who's 91.
Okay.
And Joe Biden is worse than my grandfather who has dementia.
Yeah.
He's sort of walking like this, and he's sort of and I think that voters are going to look at that, and it's going to hurt us. I think that independents are going to look at that, and they're going to be like, I can't deal with that. But with him, I know. He's got dementia.
Well, I don't think he has that clinically yet.
No, yeah.
But he's definitely slowing down.
My question is, are the people, like your colleagues or in the White House or whatever, do they get it? Do they know that?
I think that they probably do, but no one in modern history has ever said, we're not going to renominate the president for a second term. That just hasn't happened.
So they know that he has those issues.
I think so.
But they're not willing to say it.
Shows it. And
they're not willing to say it publicly.
And same thing with Kamala Harris. She's not popular, but you can't remove the first black lady to be vice president from the goddamn presidential ticket. What kind of message are you going to send to African American voters?
So that's the reason why they won't remove her.
That's what I think. How would you spin that? People would be like, what the f***? She's a woman and she's multiracial and she's
But she's not popular.
Charlie says he's seen, in the executive office of the White House, people talking about how Kamala Harris hemorrhages black staff.
Kamala is so unpopular. The New York Times did an article about how she hemorrhages black staff. She can't keep black staff. They quit on her in mass.
She hemorrhages black staff?
Yeah, there's a New York Times article about it. It went, people sent it around at the office and everyone was like, oh,
why don't they like her?
Then the subject came up about replacing Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
I think they need to get rid of him or get rid of her.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to do that.
Then Charlie Krager, who works in the executive office of the White House, says he's heard his colleagues say they can't tell the truth to the American people about what's really going on. But they do say it behind closed doors at the White House.
I think that they're really concerned about this.
But they won't say it. Well, I guess if they say it publicly,
correct.
That Biden is
no.
They can't say it publicly.
No, they got to toe the line.
Do they say it privately? So they know it.
They know it. Of course they do. But it's the optics and the scandal. I think they feel wouldn't be worth it.
I mean,
I'm just telling you what I've heard.
You're just telling me the truth.
Does it make sense? No, but that's what I've heard.
Charlie Krager says he's just telling us what he's heard in the executive office of the White House.
I've had a meeting with Michelle Obama at one point when I was an intern, and someone asked her, will you ever run for office? And she said no, emphatically.
Really?
She said, I will never run for office. It doesn't interest me. I've seen how, she said it a lot more eloquently, of course, than I'm going to say it, but she was like, I've seen all the shit my husband has had to go through, and that does not interest me.
I asked Charlie Krager, who works in the executive office of the White House, how is it that a security official in the White House doesn't know he's on a meeting with James O'Keefe and would divulge such secret information to James O'Keefe?
So you work in cybersecurity for the White House, and my question is, what are you doing on a meeting with James O'Keefe? And how do you think it looks to the American people that working in the Office of Cybersecurity you're sitting across the table with James O'Keefe,
Okay.
founder of Project Veritas.
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we do undercover investigations into people. What does it look like to the American people that the cybersecurity specialist at the White House is sitting across from the founder of Project Veritas? What type of cybersecurity operation are you guys running over there?
We're running a good cybersecurity operation.
Well, obviously not, because you're meeting with me. Did you not do your research? Or what is this clown show you guys running over at the White House?
Tune in tomorrow for the full reaction of Charlie Krager when I reveal who I am. What we have learned in OMG's undercover investigations into D.C. so far is that we have more problems in this country than the White House is willing to admit. Our high-ranking source, Charlie Krager, told us exactly what he has seen and heard that only a rare few have access to. With a vice president who causes hemorrhages within black staff, a president who has not yet been assessed for dementia, but people continue to talk about his ability to lead behind closed doors, and apparently Michelle Obama, who is not coming to the rescue, according to Charlie Krager. We are going to be keeping a watchful eye during the election season and would like for you to step forward and volunteer, and get active, and get involved at OMG.
So I think that's pretty funny, that video, because, I mean, it's just ridiculous. This guy's bragging over a date. I mean, also, can we just talk about how ridiculous it is? I think that we have some photographs of his dating profile. I've already said that I'm against dating apps. Like when I was in college, yeah, sure. Like maybe, I think tried a dating app or so when I was in college, when I was like 18, 19 years old, right? But honestly, if you're in your 30s, and I have debates with people that I know about this all the time. It's like, I personally am against dating apps. I'm not a fan of dating apps. I think that they're kind of degenerate also. I think it's kind of funny that this guy is 34 years old. Like, if you're in your 30s and you're on Tinder, like taking shirtless selfies of yourself, like, you're not really a serious person, Like, it's kind of already one of those things where it's like debatable, right? Like whether or not somebody's really serious if they're on dating apps. I know that may sound like a controversial thing to say, but like, you don't really meet serious people on dating apps. Yeah, of course, there's always the exception, right? Like, oh, I met my wife, or I met my husband, or my cousin and my cousin's friend, or this girl who went to college with my friend's son. It's always like some crazy story about how, people met and they got married and now they're living their little like fantasy life, and, the kids and the white picket fence, whatever. So, I just think it's really funny if you go back to this guy's dating profile. He goes, long-term, open to short, looking for monogamy. Like, what does that mean? Like, basically just means he wants to sleep around with dudes. I'll just tell you right now, a little secret. If somebody's on Tinder and it doesn't matter how old they are, whether they're 19 or, 21 or 34, and they're saying that they're looking for monogamy and they're taking photos of themselves topless, whether it be a man or a woman, take it from me when I tell you that they're not looking for monogamy and they're not looking for anything serious. They're looking for some FUN, all right? So that's what these dating apps are all about. It's people wanting to have a little bit of fun. You're not going to meet your wife. You're not going to meet your husband. You're not going to meet your soulmate on a dating app. Sorry, hate to break it to you. It's really funny, though, when you look at his his bio, too. We're waiting on James to connect, but James, a lot of times throughout when he worked at Project Veritas, and even now working with OMG, it's really funny. And I remember doing this when I worked for Veritas. Sometimes you would have a fake identity on a dating app and you would meet someone and you would go on a date. And I can't even recall or recount how many dates I went on when I worked at Project Veritas. Not real dates, right? Because, I don't really date around, I'll be honest with you. But we used to have this joke we used to say in vino veritas, right? Because we would get these guys at the bar like super drunk, and they would get themselves drunk, and I would just be there with my camera. And it's like, oh yeah, what's that you said? Oh, say that a little bit louder right here, because it was always a button cam. And so, like you'd go and there'd always be some like pervy dude there who was hitting on you. And I would always have to like make an excuse to get up, or when the guy would go use the bathroom, I'd have to like lean over to the bartender and say, oh, I really honestly like just don't want to drink anymore. Please, if he offers to buy me a drink, like just, sub it out for like a soda water, right? You would just have to say these things. First of all, I don't drink. I don't like alcohol. But sometimes you had to pretend, right? So you had to like sip on a glass of wine, or if somebody tries to buy you a drink, and these guys would just keep on drinking, and you'd be talking, and the drunker they get, the more they would talk. So I certainly remember my time working undercover in the Clinton campaign, and going undercover in DC, and going undercover in New York City. And, you have these kind of like pervy Democrat guys that they end up they start telling you about their voter fraud plans and how they are illegally registering people to vote because they just see a girl and, they think that you're going to have sex with them, and you're not actually going to have sex with them. It never gets that far. You just want them to be drunk so they can tell you all your secrets, and then you can record them and, get a front page story. That's the best part about it. I think James is connected now. I think that we finally have my good friend, James O'Keefe. James,
Hey,
can you hear
Laura.
me?
I think so. It's a little choppy here. I don't know why it's
Yeah, it's a
choppy,
little
but,
choppy, but I'm just thankful that we
well,
have you.
that
You're
is-
such a busy guy these days.
I'm always on the go. I'm never able. Everyone always sits in offices and I'm nonstop in the field these days.
Yeah, we were just talking about how really incredible it is that you're so good at pretending to be a homosexual man, and how funny it is on these dating apps. And I was recalling times from when I used to work with you at Project Veritas. We don't say that word anymore. It's called O'Keefe Media Group now. But when I used to work with you, I remember how we would find people on the dating apps. And I told people the funny phrase that we used to say in the office. Remember, we used to have a sign on the wall that said "In Vino Veritas." And I couldn't help but think about that when the guy was sipping his wine. And so I wanted to ask you, how many glasses of wine did Charlie Kraiger have before you got him to sing like a parrot? Or does he just walk around that loose on a daily basis?
I don't think he had any more than half a glass. I think it was maybe half a glass.
Wow.
I mean, I had one glass of wine. It was not a lot. I mean, people assume that we get them drunk, but no, I don't think he had more than half a glass. And Laura, we just launched the full reveal just now, live.
I just
on
retweeted
X.
it. I just retweeted that. So be sure that you, I just texted you the live link. So be sure that you retweet that live on air right now, so that's where people can watch this interview. And we just played for the audience the entire 13-minute clip of your
Wow.
little undercover date with Charlie Kraiger. So we have thousands of live viewers right now. And I just think it's funny because there was actually a New York Post story a couple weeks ago. And I think now I'm starting to wonder if you were the person that tipped off the New York Post about this, because the New York Post had a story about how there was a report about how Kamala Harris wasn't going to be VP because Biden wanted to push her out. And so now I'm starting to think that they got that information from you, and who knows, maybe you fed that to them, because what's concerning to me is how this guy is a cybersecurity official, and yet he's just revealing such important classified information. And when I say classified, right, I'm not talking about as it relates to war, but, things that you would expect your employee to respect from a basic NDA, right, non-disclosure agreement. Do we know if he's still employed by the Biden regime?
We're trying to find that out. We haven't heard any response from the White House, and we're looking to see a response. We haven't heard anything yet. We do know that he's taken down his LinkedIn, his Instagram page. He's taken down all of his social media, and I posted.
Has
all
he
of it on
taken
X,
down
but
his
we're
Tinder?
Good question. I don't know that he's taken down his Tinder, but I assume so.
So he told you, one of the things in the clips, you said long walks on the beach and diplomatic negotiations. Is that his pickup line? Is that what he said to you?
That's in his Instagram bio, actually.
Wow.
That's in his Instagram bio. So I threw that in the story, and the video we just launched, he gets up, he runs out, but before he runs out, he goes into talking point mode. So there's this sort of candid comments he's making, and then I'm like, what on earth are you doing? And he goes, and then he goes, the Biden White House is very, very, very confident in our cybersecurity. So he goes into talking point mode, and you'll see that in the video that we just launched.
Yeah, he doesn't really seem like he's very good at his job, and it doesn't really seem like the Biden administration. And this guy really does have the position, and it kind of reminds me of the Pfizer video that you did at Project Veritas several months ago, or last year rather, where you had another gay guy on a date, right? And then he freaks out on the date, but that guy almost, they tried denying that he was that official with Pfizer. They tried denying that he was a senior level employee. Nobody's denying that this guy is who he says he is, right? I mean, you've been able to confirm from his LinkedIn and from his, I guess, social media accounts that he really is a cybersecurity official, senior official with the Biden administration.
Yeah, he's definitely an official, and he's on his LinkedIn. It's on his Facebook. It's on his Instagram. It's online. And he was very credible. He went to Harvard. He goes to Harvard. He went to Georgetown.
Oh, he still goes to Harvard.
So
wow.
yeah,
Interesting.
Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Yes.
So is this part of a series? Can we expect to see more investigations into the Biden regime? Because obviously you have a new venture now, O'Keefe Media Group. I'm very happy. I got to see you at Mar-a-Lago the other night. And so it was great seeing you. It looks like you're really, bouncing back to your old chipper self. And it's really great to see that you've been able to rebuild so fast after this terrible act of disloyalty by the board of Project Veritas that decided to steal the company that you created from you. And so when I worked at Veritas, obviously we had Veritas and then we had Veritas Action. Is O'Keefe Media Group divided into different groups as well? Or is it just the same organization that does the general investigations and also the political investigations?
It's a for-profit company, and it's, we're not a nonprofit like Veritas was. There's a separate organization called Citizen Journalism Foundation, which is a nonprofit. And some of the videos that we'll be doing, we brought to you in part due to support from the Citizen Journalism Foundation. So we'll be seeing some of those, more about that in the future. But no, this is a for-profit company. We sell master classes. We have sponsorships. We have people that just give us money. It's not tax deductible money, but lots and lots of people give us small amounts of money. And we're trying to create a sustainable long-term organization where I'm not beholden to anybody, and I 100% own it. There's no board of directors, and frankly, this is very tough, Laura. You know that it's very difficult to be an investigative video journalist. It's very you have to have an amazing amount of combination of skills to do this work, and you have to have integrity, and you have to have resilience, and you have to be creative, and you have to be dialed in. And that meeting with the White House guy was dialed in. And you also have to operate the technology, and you also have to tell the story. You have to be able to be a good communicator. So most people can't do it. And I think it's very important to empower people, but also find the people with the courage and the ability to do it. Nobody does this because it's very difficult to find the people to do it. So that's my mission.
Yeah, and it's definitely tough, and you're doing great work. So are we going to be seeing more of these series with Biden administration officials, or did you just happen to get lucky while swiping on Tinder?
Get lucky, as Daft Punk would say. Get lucky.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm saying, did you get lucky? Because obviously, you guys utilize the dating apps. We've seen this with other investigations where undercover journalists, it's usually somebody aside from you, right? Like a girl or a guy on Grindr or, on one of the dating apps like Bumble, and then you send the undercover out. But I think the funniest part about this video that has gone so viral is the fact that you really didn't go through a crazy disguise. I mean, you've done videos in the past where you've hired makeup artists and you've rented Lamborghinis and,
right.
You've gone out of your
Yes.
way to really kind of make these extravagant undercover disguises, right? Because you are James O'Keefe, a legend in your own right, and people know who you are. So it didn't really seem like he even knew you when you said what your name was. He goes, "Oh, I've heard of you." It's almost
I
like,
don't think he knew. I don't think
he even knew.
I really don't think it. No, he knew the name Project Veritas because in the video you're just watching now, it just came out. I say I'm the founder of Project Veritas, and he goes, "I think I've heard of that," but he had no idea who I was. In fact, I didn't give him my last name. You know, on the Tinder it doesn't say, it says James. But I took my glasses off, and he didn't really understand what the hell was going on. So a lot of people, Laura, don't pay attention to, but he works in the executive office of the White House. But because of the schism that exists in our country, the people on the left don't watch the right news, and the people on the right don't watch the left news. He just was completely in the dark about what I do, and I think there's hundreds of millions of Americans who don't follow, you know, the news. And as far as getting lucky, I would say luck is the residue of design. So it's not luck. Yeah. It's actually, I mean, the amount of work that goes into getting this story is, it's weeks of work just to produce, you know, a 10-minute video.
Yeah. No, of course. I was honestly just making a little bit of a pun, you know, a bit of a joke, getting lucky, of course, on your date, because I'm sure you saw the Babylon Bee article and all the funny memes that are coming out of it. It's very funny. It's a very funny clip. And I just think that it's quite absurd that, you know, in the age of cell phones and social media and undercover journalism, and also, you know, just when people now are being inspired to go out there and do these things themselves, you would think that every single Democrat would have, like, there would be photos of you, you know, in every single Democrat office or break room that says, "If you see this man, walk away."
You would
think that there would be like employee training manuals, or, you know, your freshman orientation working in the Biden administration.
Well, they're afraid of those manuals being published by me. They don't want to give me attention. They don't want to say my name.
Right.
So it's kind of a paradox there to a certain degree.
Yeah, because, I mean, people have done that in the past where we've seen memos go around and and they say, "Oh, if you see this man, don't talk to him." Or with what we saw recently with your IBM investigation, where IBM pretty much sent out a memo to all of their employees and said, "Oh, don't say James O'Keefe's name." So again, I don't know if you heard me when I asked before, but are we going to be seeing a Biden series, or I don't know if you can comment on that or not. Can we expect to see more exposés of Biden administration officials in the coming months leading up to the election?
Yeah, I mean, this is an administrative state, I would call it, because technically this guy works in the executive office of the White House, so he's going to be there in the government whether Biden wins or loses. So I would say you will see another video of an administrative state official, if not next week, the week after. And every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. we release another story. We're doing a weekly story now. That's why I'm so busy, because this is not just me having a show. I sit, you know, in a studio and I interview people. This is like, I have to go out there and I have to perform miracles every week to go get the stories. So that's what I'm doing actually as I speak. I'm about to go in the field and go get some more information.
Well, that's great. Do you have any other upcoming stories that you want to talk about? Because we have a live chat right now. I'm going to go to the chat and see if anybody has any questions for you, because we have thousands of live viewers and you have a lot of fans. For those of you who don't know, I got my career started with Project Veritas and James O'Keefe, and James is like a brother to me. He's my mentor. He wrote the foreword to my book. People always say, "Oh, you know, where do you get your courage from, Laura?" I got it from James O'Keefe, right? James O'Keefe is really my mentor. So let's see if anybody, let's see. You have a lot of fans in the chat, so lots of chats. Someone said it was the glasses indeed. He was clearly attracted to the glasses. They love the glasses, yeah. Let's see. Someone said, "Are you going to go after Ronna McDaniel?"
you know, these questions where people say, well, why don't you go after this person? Why don't you go after this person? Why don't you go after this person? I mean, I'll go after anyone who deserves to be exposed and is lying to the public. And if she's lying to the public, then sure. You know, I'm not.
Well, she's currently lying. You know, she's been lying about the finances at the RNC, and I'm sure you've seen all of the the misappropriation. So perhaps for your next investigation, you should pose as a gay man that goes on a spa date with Ronna Romney when she decides to take the RNC credit card to her next spa day. Or maybe you can be her personal shopper undercover at Neiman Marcus when she's using the RNC card to go purchase more designer clothes on the Republican Party's dime.
Well, I was just getting into an argument, Laura, with this guy. I'm just going to show you what his name is here. John Cardillo. Do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah. We don't talk about those DeSantis people. Those are the same DeSantis people that are friends with Matthew Tiermond, who's a traitor.
Where's the bombshell in the video? He says, where's the bombshell in the O'Keefe video? I'm just not seeing it. Some mid-level staffer said Biden has dementia. I think America already knew these things. I said, all of America already knew these things? First, Americans can't agree on anything. I mean, this guy can't agree with you, Laura.
He's also not a mid-level staffer. If he's in the executive office of the president, he's not a mid-level staffer.
But before we get to that part, let's just talk about all of America already knows these things. Not all of America knows these things. Most people are in the dark. This guy in the White House didn't even know about me. I mean, it's just nutty. You know, and then second, there are things you know, and there are things that are verifiably true. Just because you think you know something doesn't mean that it's verified. So people talking and opining about things. Now, John just responded. He said, I just don't see the bombshell or smoking gun. He's a mid-level guy working in the EOP, pointing out what everyone knows. And then someone said it's relevant because it's what the White House staff is saying. According to the White House, Biden and Kamala are fine. And John says it's not relevant at all. So he's just saying it's not relevant. It almost seems like these people, a lot of them, Laura, and you know how this works, they don't even care about the story. They just are rooting fail, or they have some type of skin in the game with James O'Keefe because they're friends with a board member or something. It's really strange.
Yeah, I think they're just jealous of you. But also, John Cardillo is friends with Matt Tiermond, whose name we don't really say anymore. But, your buddy Matt Tiermond, who staged a coup against you, right? Or at least that's the way it looks, right? It sure looks like he is behind a coup. So,
yep.
He's really good friends with him. He and Ron DeSantis and John Cardillo were all photographed hanging out together with the DeSantis crew. And the lawyer that Ron DeSantis had that forum with, and, just coincidentally, the day before they decided to indefinitely suspend you over at Project Veritas. So really interesting. I just think it's really interesting how all these people who are tied to Ron DeSantis are always attacking James O'Keefe, and they have this alliance with Matt Tiermond. And, we all know that it's not a secret. Obviously, Veritas used to be a nonprofit, but it's not a secret that President Trump was a fan of you and your work and the videos that you did at Veritas and Veritas Action. Well, and so how convenient,
it's unfortunate.
Right? How convenient.
It's unfortunate that people have to apply their politics onto me. I don't think this is... I get that there are different factions, and this guy likes this guy, and this guy likes that guy, but I think that this is the stories I'm doing are really should appeal to everyone, regardless
and they do.
Of whether you're.
This is a massive story.
Even if you're a Democrat, I mean, I think that people on the left should be, interested in what I'm reporting on because it's true. It's just a guy being honest about what he's seen and heard. So anyway, I don't really care to think about the past, and I just want to do more of this and find the people that are doing it. And I'm suffering from a cold right now, so I'm not operating at, speaking of cognitive ability, I'm not operating 100%, but I'm here, and I'm here for it, Laura.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a very relevant story, especially because every single day now there's another article in the news about whether or not Michelle Obama is going to be running. And you asked him directly if there's discussions to replace Biden with Michelle. And he answered, and he gave this really interesting answer about how Kamala is hemorrhaging black staffers and how there were articles about it. And there were. And so obviously you have office politics and office gossip that is now leaking over into what this guy perceived to be a Tinder date. But everything this guy said is verifiable. I mean, it's not the first time a story has been published about, oh, Biden wants to remove Kamala. There are other Democrats that have gone on the record with, like I said, the New York Post. And so your video is very relevant. And I think it's just haters that are jealous of you and your success that have nothing better to do than just shit all over you and your work product, because this is literally all people are talking about right now, is whether or not Biden is going to be the nominee because of his mental decline. And you have his own officials now confirming what we all know to be true, that they gaslight us on. I mean, every single time Donald Trump gives a rally and he talks about Joe Biden not being cognitively fit, the media slams him and tries to say that Trump is the one who's not cognitively fit. So this is a really big deal because it's the first time that we have an actual official within the Biden administration on the record, a paid employee, admitting that Joe Biden has dementia.
Yeah, and admitting that that they were trying to remove Kamala Harris. There have been some reports that was the case, but to have someone admitting it, absolutely. And if anything, this shows you that there's probably a lot more people that would be honest on the record, and we need to have more people swiping. If you want to be a swiper, you can go to O'KeefeMediaGroup.com/swiper, and we'll put you to work in the nation's capital, in the swamp. The only time I go to Washington, D.C. is to do an investigation. I don't spend any time in D.C. It's a horrible place. It's a soulless place. It's a dark place. Go ahead, Laura.
Oh, I think that your camera cut out when you were saying O'Keefe, the actual address again, if you could give the address where people can sign up.
It's O'KeefeMediaGroup.com/swiper, and I apologize to your audience. I'm suffering from a cold, and I don't take a day off, so I apologize if I'm, not if I'm slowing down a little bit tonight. That's all I can say.
No, that's fine, and I understand. You've been traveling nonstop, and I mean,
I could have said no to the interview, but I wanted to see you, and I wanted to do this. So 40% of me is better than zero, I guess.
No, of course. It's great. And I really appreciate you because I know that you're busy. You were just in the middle of dropping another part of the story. And then also, too, you're traveling right now and, you're very busy. But I wanted to make sure that people got to see this story because, we've been talking a lot now about how we're trying to move on to a general election and we have the primary. And unfortunately, Nikki Haley has refused to drop out. And so this was a chance for people to really focus on the general election because Republicans or, just really conservatives in general have been distracted by this primary. And you don't really get to see a lot of coverage on the general election these days because so many people are still focused on trying to clear the field so that President Trump can focus on a general election. So I think that it's really great that we're finally getting some confirmation of the fact that things really aren't as unified in Democrat world as they like to say they are. You always hear people say, oh, the Democrats are united, and they put on this whole big show about how Kamala and Joe like each other. But even the staffers are talking about how this lady is clearly brain dead. She doesn't know what she's doing. But the only reason why people don't want to remove her is because she's a black woman, right? So it further exposes as well, James, really the rot of the DEI movement within our society. And it just goes to show you how dangerous this is. Because, we hear a lot of jokes about DEI, and now it's become a really big political talking point by President Trump and, by people going into this 2024 election. But you even have Biden officials admitting to you that they're too scared to talk about it. So they have Democrats that recognize the dangers of DEI. You have this incompetent woman that can't keep staff, that bumbles around like an idiot, and they want to replace her, but they're scared of how it's going to make people feel because she's black and she's not even really black. She's actually Indian and Jamaican, but she's not really black. I mean, people like to say she is, but she's not actually black. What do you think about that? Because I know that you're very philosophical as well. What does this video speak to socially as it relates to this cancer known as DEI?
Well, there's a difference between what people are willing to say as their official talking points. Like in this video I just released 20 minutes ago, I'm like, what do you have to say for yourself? And he goes into talking point mode, and he's like, the Biden administration takes cybersecurity very seriously. It's like the way people talk when they're just reading the propaganda is so different than the truth. And even when it comes to DEI, he's like, listen, you can't, I'm quoting him here, you can't fire a goddamn black woman who's the first woman. People would flip a shit. And it's like, well, I mean, that's the way people talk. I mean, they're just talking normally. You can't, he's talking about a societal faux pas. You can't, identity politics is a thorn in their side. So it's very interesting because they don't even believe in these identity politics. It's just sort of real politic. You have to acknowledge that it's something you have to deal with. I think it's fascinating, and the reason why we do the undercover work in the first place, we need to do more of it.
Yeah, well, I think it's just very telling, What it shows me is that the Democrats love, pushing their policies on to others, but they themselves, don't even really believe in these policies, right? So we're force-fed all these policies about DEI, and, you just had your really big IBM investigation where you exposed these policies, and the people that are behind these policies from the top down, they themselves are not even implementing them. I mean, if you take a look at Biden's senior advisors and you look at the people that are running his campaign, from his campaign manager to, just his top 5 or 6 people, they're all white. Most of them white liberal women. And so, you have Kamala Harris, I suppose, who's somewhat of an outlier. But even then, these people do not practice the leftist identity politic talking points that they preach constantly. So I don't know about the haters that want to say that there's no bombshell in your video, but I think that things like this really open people's eyes, especially in a time where we're being force-fed, oh, well, white people are, not to be given jobs. You have to appoint somebody if they're a black, they have to be a woman, and they have to be gay. I mean, all these just very weird standards that are being established as opposed to a society of meritocracy.
Well, it confirms suspicions. That's what it does. And I think there's a debate about journalism, whether journalism even matters. And maybe people think it doesn't. People think it doesn't matter. Information doesn't matter. That also doesn't make sense, because all these people do, all these haters do is talk. So if they think their talking matters, then why does their talking matter? It really is just, we just got to keep doing the work. It's a lot of work. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm completely, at this very moment in time, I am overwhelmed with the amount of people that are coming to me that want my help. And we need to have more people. And I'm, as soon as I get this phone call, I'm going to get back in the car and go out in the field.
Well,
and that's where we need to be. That's where we need to be.
Well, James, you could always recruit me back into the field. You know how effective I was at getting content for you. And if you ever are very overwhelmed, you can always pick up the phone and call your very own loyal loomer. You know that I'm very reliable.
Loyal loomer.
I don't know if you've ever had anybody. I don't even know if you've ever had anybody who was, as fast, I guess. You used to call me like the queen of smash and grab at Veritas. That was my nickname. Because
you were the smash and grab queen. You would go in there, get the story, front page New York Post the next day.
That's what I do.
That's what you were.
I know. Maybe I need to come back and help you out. Well, how do people watching, because a lot of people want to know how they can get involved. If people do have a story, and because a lot of people come to me with information, and just like you're overwhelmed, sometimes I'm overwhelmed, right? And I can't necessarily advise them on what to do with the video elements. So if people do have a story, whether they have video footage or they want a camera, because you do send cameras to people to go record stories, how does it work and where do people go?
Well, we sell the cameras now. It's omgundercover.com, omgundercover.com to buy them. And you can go on our website, sign up for our master classes. You can sign up to be a swiper at o'keefemediagroup.com/swiper. And you can sign up to be a citizen journalist. I have a Signal. If you have sources or information, you can go on my bio on X and message me there. I mean, we're one little group of people, and we can't do the tens of thousands of stories. But I would encourage people to be empowered to go out and do it themselves, and to learn how to be a journalist. You can buy our classes on our website and watch them. And if you really, really want to do this, go there. You're looking at it right now. The Swiper program is really something that I think can change the world because it's the easiest way to get a story. That's how I got this story. But I'm looking for people that are courageous, that are talented, creative, that are good communicators. And I'm always looking for good people. And the best way to get a job working for me is to go out and do this, go get a story. People that apply to work for me that have not done this, I'm not going to hire you because I'm not going to hire you and then find out that you can't do it. You have to prove that you can do it, and then I'll hire you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what I did not do in the past. And I learned my lesson. And also, I don't hire psychotic people. And if there's a problem with you, I'm going to fire you right away, which is another thing that I've learned. But the main thing is go out and get the story, and then we'll talk. And that's what I'm going to help you do. But Laura, I've got to excuse myself. My team is waiting for me, and I've got to hit the road before it gets too late.
Sounds good. Where can people follow you, James, if they want to follow you on social media? And I showed your website, of course, so we've covered that. Where should people follow you?
It's just my name, James O'Keefeii, X on X, and Instagram, James O'Keefe III.
Great. Well, James, thanks so much for making time out of your busy travel schedule today. We love the video. It's hilarious. It's also impactful. And I think that, people are going to be very excited to see the follow-up and, the other videos that you're releasing in the coming days. So we wish you the best. We love you. Keep up the great work. And you're always welcome on Loomer Unleashed to break a story or to play your videos. So we'll talk soon. Thank you so much.
All right, little sis. All right, little sister. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. He's the best. I love him. He's like my big brother. That's why he calls me his little sister. He's the best. I really love James. Let's look at the chat. Let's see. Oh, the chat's crazy. Let's see. Go up. Let's scroll up. I want to see what people are saying because there's a lot of people that were commenting during the interview. Let's see. Well, some people said that they're going to sign up. That's great. Yeah, go sign up on the website. Looking at the chat. Let's get the chat full screen. Also, too, be sure that you repost this live. We're going to have Charles Downs, who is, of course, the Loomer Unleashed contributor and our D.C. Correspondent, come on. He's going to come talk about these new FEC filings that just dropped. And before we get to that, I know that we're going to have some sponsor reads soon from our sponsors for tonight. Let's see. What else is on the list? We're following, of course, the Nevada winter meeting very closely because right now you have all 168 members of the RNC meeting in Las Vegas, Nevada, where they are, talking about a lot of things, and Ronna Romney is expected to be there. And you have the resolution that we were discussing the other day when I had my guest, Sigal Chattah, the National GOP Committee Chairwoman on. And it's really interesting because the new FEC reports came out, and we have that graphic. Let's pull that graphic up before we go to our commercial break. And here we go. So check this out. Here is the cash on hand summary for the RNC. So we know that my last guest, Sigal Chattah, talked about her resolution for fiscal responsibility, where she was calling for decreased salaries at the RNC because these people have pretty much bankrupted the party. And you can see from this graphic on the screen that at the beginning of the quarter 3 months ago, the cash on hand was $14 million, a little over $14 million. And now the ending cash on hand is a little under $10 million. Well, what does this mean? Well, it says that the debts and loans owed by the committee are $2.3 million. So essentially what this means is that the RNC has less than $8 million cash on hand. Well, what does that mean going forward? Well, what that means is that we're in a presidential election year and the RNC has less than $8 million for a general election, not just for the presidential election, but also for all the other races, right? Where the RNC is supposed to be giving money to other Republicans. And so That's a major problem because $8 million isn't even enough to cover TV ads, let alone a ground game that is going to be needed to get Donald Trump back into the White House and to also help other Republican candidates like gubernatorial races, Senate races. We have a lot of very important races. We have Trump's presidential race. We have Kari Lake's Senate race out in Arizona. We want to make sure that the Republicans take back control of the Senate. We want to try to keep control of the House. Preferably gain some seats in the House too, because we have a 1-seat majority right now. That would be really nice. But you can see that, it doesn't really foster much of a feeling of trust or confidence in the party when you see how Ronna Romney has depleted all of the resources. And you can go rewatch my interview with Segal, the previous episode from this Tuesday if you missed it, and you can see our breakdown of some of the spending. I mean, there's tons of articles online about it as well. This is not anything new. We've talked about it on the show before. I actually have an ad that I created for a PAC last year. One of the things that I was doing is I was writing and I was producing television ads for PACs. And so this PAC, which, is pro-Trump and they supported America First pro-Trump candidates, I had written some ads and produced them. So I wrote this script, and this was about Ronna Romney when Ronna Romney was running for re-election last, at the end of December for re-election for RNC chairwoman. So let's go ahead and play the ad.
Ronna Romney McDaniel, Mitt Romney's niece, has been the RNC chairwoman since 2017. Under her control, Republicans lost the 2018 midterms, the 2020 presidential race, and she failed to deliver a 2022 red wave. After violating President Trump's cease and desist order, Ronna scammed GOP voters out of millions of dollars in donations. And what did she do with your money? Ronna used RNC donor money for luxury travel, private jets, alcohol, and personal entertainment. She lied and said she'd use your money to investigate voter fraud, but instead, she bought $64,000 worth of new clothing. She even spent RNC funds on cosmetic and spa treatments. Looking good, Ronna. It's time to give the RNC a major facelift. On January 27th, pray that Mitt Romney's niece does not get elected for a third term as RNC chairwoman. Retire Ronna Romney. Paid for by American Liberty Fund. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
So as I said, I wrote and I produced that ad over a year ago, and it's just funny, right? Because, we're talking about the same issues now. It's a vicious cycle. How much money has she wasted over the last year? A lot, right? It's a lot of money. And unfortunately, right, the Republican Party is pretty much broke and they're about to go bankrupt, which is why now Ronna Romney is talking about this $10 million credit line. But, speaking of bankruptcies and missed payments and being low on cash, right? One of the things that, depletes all of us of our cash is tax season. So the October 15th tax deadline has just passed, and I know that many of you might be feeling the pressure if you're sorting through the complexities of expense tracking, especially with the upcoming tax season, estimated payments, and all the deductions causing failure to file and failure to pay. Well, you may have some penalties that have piled up on your tax debt. The team over at Tax Network USA has a track record of success, and they have reduced tax debts for numerous clients totaling over $1 billion. So whether you're looking at a $10,000 tax debt or a $1 million challenge, they can help with a settlement. And even if you haven't filed in 1 year, 5 year, or a whole decade, these people are equipped to help secure the best settlement for you. The experts and these tax professionals at Tax Network USA can help resolve all tax cases no matter how it started. But now, as these powerful tax debt relief programs are expected to change, you're going to want to act fast. So be sure that you go to taxnetworkusa.com/Loomer. Again, that's taxnetworkusa.com/Loomer. You can see here's their website. Tell them that Laura Loomer sent you. I know that a lot of people, they have backed up taxes. And in a weaponized government that we're seeing now, you don't want the IRS to come after you. You don't want the Biden regime to come after you. And it's better to set up a settlement program to pay off your taxes than to, just have an accumulating debt. So if you have tax debts and you want to negotiate a settlement and you don't know where to start, you can go to taxnetworkusa.com/Loomer. taxnetworkusa.com/Loomer. Again, that's taxnetworkusa.com/Loomer. We're going to have Charles join us soon. Let's see, have some more video clips to play. Before we have Charles come on, another interesting thing that happened today in Joe Biden's America, just further showing how demented the Democrats are, is just this ridiculous press conference by the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. So you had Lloyd Austin today, who a lot of people have been mocking him for, as Trump likes to say, playing little war games from his laptop in the hospital because Lloyd Austin, of course, the Defense Secretary, didn't notify anybody when he was in the hospital getting treatment for prostate cancer. And he finally had to face the public today and talk about his diagnosis. And he said that people should feel sorry for him because he's black and that more black people get prostate cancer than anybody else. So again, just a lack of accountability, a lack of responsibility. We have 3 clips from this presser. There was no acknowledgement of the 3 soldiers that lost their life recently in the drone strikes in Jordan. Of course, it's just all about how, well, we need to feel sorry for Lloyd Austin because he's black and he got cancer, and more black men get prostate cancer than other men, according to Lloyd Austin. So I don't know. I just, again, it's like with this DEI nonsense, like we're supposed to just feel sympathy. Karine Jean-Pierre sucks at her job, right? Is it because she's black or is it because she's a retard? I don't know. I don't know, right? Because every single time we ask, is it because she's black or a retard, we're just told to give her an excuse because she's black, right? So are we then supposed to hold it against people when they screw up, or are we just supposed to celebrate them because of the color of their skin? Because white people get demonized, but if you're black or Hispanic or, whatever you are, you can screw up as much as you want, and we're not allowed to criticize you because the color of your skin apparently is your shield for accountability. So... So, we can't criticize Ilhan Omar. She might be a terrorist, but she's black, right? So she's off limits. We can't criticize Karine Jean-Pierre because, she's a retard, but she's black. So I guess, we can't criticize her either. And we can't criticize Lloyd Austin for, jeopardizing everybody's safety while not telling anybody as the defense secretary that he was in the hospital recovering from cancer surgery because, he's black, and no accountability for blacks in the White House, right? No accountability for blacks in the Biden administration. I guess we're going to call it a black pass. They used to send out those white privilege cards. Maybe you ought to get black privilege cards because, honestly, whether it's Kamala Harris, who's not even black, Karine Jean-Pierre, Lloyd Austin, you name it, everybody just gets a pass because they say I'm black. And I'm just wondering, where's the accountability, right? Same thing with Black Lives Matter. These people burned down $1.5 billion of public property, but they get a pass because they're black. So I don't know. Must be nice to be black. Go ahead and play the clips.
And finally, I also missed an opportunity to send a message on an important public health issue. And I'd like to fix that right now. I was diagnosed with a highly treatable form of cancer, a pretty common one. 1 in 8 American men will get prostate cancer. 1 in 6 black men will get it. And so I'm here with a clear message to other men, especially older men. Get screened, get your regular checkups. Prostate cancer has a glass jaw. If your doctor can spot it, they can treat it and beat it. And the side effects that I experienced are highly, highly unusual. So you can count on me to set a better example on this issue today and for the rest of my life. And again, I want to thank everyone for their well wishes and their great support. We did not handle this right, and I did not handle this right. I should have told the president about my cancer diagnosis. I should have also told my team and the American public. And I take full responsibility. I apologize to my teammates and to the American people. Now, I want to make it very clear that there were no gaps in authorities and no risk to the department's command and control. And I never directed anyone to keep my January hospitalization from the White House. But I can tell you I've apologized directly to President Biden. And I've told him that I'm deeply sorry for not letting him know immediately that I received a heavy diagnosis and was getting treatment. And he has responded with the grace and warm heart that anyone who knows President Biden would expect. And I'm grateful for his full confidence in me.
You went to the hospital on December 22nd. Was your staff aware that you'd gone to the hospital? And if so, why didn't they tell the White House? You went back to the hospital on January 1st, and an aide told the dispatcher, when the ambulance arrives, no lights, no sirens. Did you direct the aide to say that?
I asked my assistant to call the ambulance. I did not direct him to do anything further than just call the ambulance. And so what he said and why he said it, I think that should come out in the review as well. So.
What about December 22nd when you went to the hospital the first time? Was your staff aware? And if so, why didn't they tell the White House?
When I went to the hospital on December 22nd, I went in for that procedure. My duties were transferred to the deputy. That was planned, and I decided to stay in the hospital overnight. Didn't have to. Decided to stay there overnight because of the anesthesia that was involved. And then the next day, later in the afternoon, early evening, we transferred authorities back.
So I'm talking about your staff.
Okay,
Was
but
your staff aware? And why didn't they
Peter?
tell the White House?
So you can see, right? He gets asked numerous times. I mean, this literally went on for over an hour. Okay. And then before that, they were showing Ron DeSantis' press conference because, he's totally not running for president anymore. Ron DeSantis has totally dropped out of the presidential race, but that's why Fox News is carrying his live pressers, right? But it is really interesting with Lloyd Austin, right? Because I've never heard anybody say that before. A lot of people get cancer, not just black people, right? A lot of people get cancer. And so this idea of, oh, well, you just have to really understand where I'm coming from as a black man. I was laughing about this with my producer earlier today because I said, after I tweeted this out, I said, what was the first thing that you noticed about Lloyd Austin's press conference today? And we both said, it's kind of strange how he decided to pivot to just being a black man. And my producer's brown, right? So it's like we don't have Derek, the DEI dog, tonight to get his perspective, but we have multiple perspectives here. And so when Media Matters, I noticed that on my last episode, they decided to write a hit piece about me. This has nothing to do with, me. This has nothing to do with, their slurs of me being a white nationalist or white supremacist, whatever they want to call me, right? A lot of people, not just white people, are starting to notice just how obscene it is that the Biden administration always, as opposed to taking accountability for their missteps, they just talk about how you can't criticize them because they're black. Karine Jean-Pierre does this when she has her ridiculous flubs. Lloyd Austin does it when he's trying to excuse the fact that we're in the middle of a conflict with Iran and 3 U.S. soldiers were just killed in Jordan and 25 more were injured. And this guy is not telling his staff and not letting Joe Biden in the White House know that, well, he's incapacitated at the hospital. So again, I can't emphasize enough just how unsafe our country has become, not just with the stolen election, but also DEI, right? We've seen the stories of the planes, and we joke about it, right? Because it's funny when you see, oh, wow, the plane was missing bolts, and it turns out that the pilot was, was a black woman, or, who knows if it was a black woman, right? But there's always like some DEI element to it, or, even just a white woman, right? There's always some kind of like DEI story at the center of these disasters now with the planes. Like, oh, wow, this plane had a crash landing, and it was a all women cockpit, or, oh, wow, this plane had a bolt missing, or the plane caught fire midair, and oh, look who's flying the plane, right? There's always some kind of diversity nightmare associated with it, to the point where, you have to start like checking who's in the cockpit, and I think it was Charlie Kirk that got in some trouble a couple of weeks ago for saying this, right? About how, oh, he's going to get on the plane and he's going to check, what the background is of the pilot that's flying the plane now, because if this is how they're going to start hiring people based off their skin color as opposed to their merit, is your heart surgeon going to be qualified? Is your brain surgeon going to be qualified? Is the EMT going to be qualified? Who's qualified, right? Are the pilots flying the planes qualified? Are the teachers at your children's school qualified? Who's qualified? Are we just giving out positions to people now because of the color of their skin? Who's qualified? And I'm sure that Media Matters is going to clip this clip and they're going to say that I went on another racist rant. I don't give a shit. I really don't. I don't care what they say because they call us racist. They literally called the dog racist, okay? Go read the Media Matters article. They literally put my transcript with Derek, the black dog, from the other night in an article, and they talked about a racist rant when I was just trying to provide a perspective since we were having a conversation that required, a DEI perspective. I was just trying to follow the rules. So even when I'm trying to follow the rules, right, I get penalized for, my own diversity hire, right? I don't know any competent individuals. So I said, okay, I'm going to bring in a dog. I'm going to bring in a black dog, okay, as my DEI hire for the show. And even then, even when I fulfill my own DEI requirements to make the Biden administration happy, these people are never happy. They're not happy. The dog is not black enough, or maybe the dog is too black. I don't know. But hey, I'm just following the rules, and it goes to show you that even if you play their stupid, silly games with their DEI rules and you entertain their faux concept of diversity, you're still going to be called a racist. And that was the whole experiment the other night with Derek, right? You're still going to be called a racist even if you play their little game. So I believe we now have Charles connected. Charles Downs, who is, of course, our Loomer Unleashed DC correspondent and contributor. He was on a couple days ago as well. We have him back now to discuss the new FEC filings. Charles, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can, Laura, and it's great to be back. So much to talk about. Icky Nicky's really at it this week.
Wow, I see you have the photo of you and Trump behind you that we took in Iowa when you got to meet Trump when you were with us out there covering the Iowa caucus. Show everybody that photo. That's beautiful. Just pick it up and show everybody.
Photo. We had a great afternoon. Me, you, and Trump had some great conversations. Trump said he loved my writing and loved the articles. And yeah, like I said, it was a great conversation.
He did. He loved it. We got to introduce the entire Loomer Unleashed team, my producer, and I think everybody was a little tongue-tied, right? Because everybody was like, wow, we're meeting Trump, right? But Trump loves Loomer Unleashed. He watches the show. He reads the site, loomer.com, so be sure that you check out the site if you haven't already. You and I were on the phone very late last night, as we usually are, because we constantly are going through FEC reports, and we were talking about stories that we wanted to do on the website as it relates to these new FEC filings. We have the new expenditures from the RNC that show that the party's pretty much broke, right? I mean, they don't have enough money. We just highlighted that. We showed the screenshot.
Yeah, that's horrific.
A few moments ago, we also updated on the site, loomer.com, new Nikki Haley fundraisers. So we have a new set of fundraisers that we're going to talk about tonight. We've broken down the fundraisers for California, for Florida. She was just here. Joe Biden was just here. And now she's going to be in Texas. So let's talk about that, because we see now that Nikki Haley, as we head into Nevada, which she's going to lose, and then we go on to South Carolina.
She's not even on the ballot.
Yeah. And we talked about that with my guest on Tuesday, Sigal Chattah, who is, of course, the GOP National Committee woman for Nevada. Nikki Haley isn't even going to be in the caucus, right? Because she was so stupid, she didn't even fill out the right paperwork. So now, just like Ron DeSantis skipped New Hampshire, Nikki Haley is skipping Nevada, and she's going back to her home state of South Carolina for fundraisers and a bunch of media hits. And she's doubling down, right? She's doubling down on the idea that she thinks Trump's a rapist, and she thinks that Trump had to pay the $83.3 million. She is now saying that Trump is too much of a distraction with his legal fees and his lawsuits, and she's just openly campaigning with Democrats. So let's talk about it. We're going to pull these articles up. Some of the things that you and I have uncovered since, people can follow along if they want to on loomer.com by reading the articles. But I guess we'll go through California.
They definitely should.
We'll start with California. Let's start with California, Charles, and then we'll go on to Texas. So explain to the viewers what we have uncovered as it relates to her fundraiser tour that's coming up for the beginning of February in California.
Yeah, so Nikki Haley's going to the quote unquote, I'm joking here, conservative hotspots of San Francisco and Los Angeles to raise money from four fundraisers hosted by 26 mega Democrat donors. And these Democrat donors aren't just like small money donors. Like some of these people gave like $1 million to the Biden Victory Fund. There's another donor who gave Barack Obama almost $1 million back in September 2007. And if y'all remember, when that donation happened, Hillary Clinton was beating Obama in the Democratic primary. So like these donors are like fully committed to Obama and have been with him since day one. There's also Adam Schiff donors, Adam Schiff for Congress. So these people were donating to Adam Schiff when Adam Schiff was making stuff up in the Mueller report that turned out to be obviously a horrific investigation. And then there's donors who are donating right now, like over the summer, to Adam Schiff for Senate. Could y'all imagine Adam Schiff on the Senate Intel Committee? That would be like the biggest disaster in history. And it gets worse from that. There's also donors who donated to John Tester, the Democrat senator up in Montana. A lot of people believe Montana is going to decide control of the United States Senate. So if President Trump wins, but we don't have the Senate, there's no Supreme Court justices, there's no tax cuts, there's nothing. So we know Nikki Haley's not going to win the GOP primary, but let's just say for the sake of like playing along with this example, if she does win, somehow the GOP primary becomes president, what's her end goal? She's already taken money from people who want to ensure the United States Senate remains in Democrat control. So is Nikki Haley, God forbid, President Haley, she's going to appoint liberal Supreme Court justices. She's going to pass liberal spending bills because she has no choice because the United States Senate is controlled by liberals, because she's taking money from people who give to John Tester. Another one is Sherrod Brown out in Ohio. That's going to decide the Senate. And another one is this guy named Bob Casey out in Pennsylvania. And I have some personal experience with Bob Casey. This guy's the worst of the worst. Like, I used to do hardcore research on him in 2018. That was my job. And this dude would literally show up to events for 5 minutes, talk, and leave. Like, he wrote Biden's playbook on going to events. This guy's like the biggest piece of garbage ever. But these are the people who are donating, who she's taking money from. So not only is Nikki Haley taking money from people who dislike President Trump, she's taking money from people who want to screw every single Republican down ballot. So it's offensive to Republican voters that Nikki Haley says, oh, I'm the best person who can help Republicans down ballot. No, you're not. You're literally taking money from people who are trying to screw the Republicans down ballot. And she needs to be called out on that lie. And it seems like we're the only one calling her out on that lie. Where's Fox News? Where's everyone else? It's just us.
No, they're not calling her out, and she's draining resources. And when you look at a lot of the key races that we need to win, and you look at the key states, especially as it relates to, taking back the Senate and keeping the House, you have a lot of underfunded candidates while Nikki Haley is soaking up all the money. So look at Ron DeSantis, right? FEC reports just showed that Never Back Down wasted over $130 million. And of course, their fundraising numbers were quite deceptive because, let's be honest, like a lot of people thought, oh, wow, he raised more money than was expected. No. He transferred about $85 million, if you recall, from the Friends of Ron DeSantis PAC, which was then deceptively changed to the Empowered Parents PAC. And then it was transferred over to the Never Back Down PAC after he had Cord Byrd, his hand-selected Secretary of State, changed the Florida political handbook so that you could transfer funds between a state entity to a federal PAC. And so when you look at those numbers, right? 83 or 85 million, whatever it was. And then you look at $130 million. They're very deceptive because a lot of people don't know that they had the transfer of the nearly $85 million. And then, of course, now we're learning in a new report from Politico that Ron DeSantis transferred about $2.75 million of that over to a PAC with Club for Growth that was used to run anti-Trump ads. And then today, we saw that one of his top aides, Peter Cutterman, is now going to join the Club for Growth as a fellow. And so it's pretty evident that Ron DeSantis is still running a shadow presidential campaign. But then I look at somebody like Kari Lake, for example, right? Look at Kari Lake, or look at, I don't really care too much about a lot of these races because honestly, I don't really like politicians. I don't really like anybody aside from Trump and Lake. And so I've already said this publicly that really the only people that I'm focused on helping are Trump and Kari Lake. I mean, I'm obviously going to try to help other people, but in terms of people who I personally feel like a strong connection to and some people that I genuinely respect and care about on a personal level, it's Trump and Kari Lake. And so when you look at the fact that she just exposed this massive scandal, right, with Jeff DeWitt, and you see that there's been a lot of shakeups in the Florida GOP with the removal of Christian Ziegler, the Michigan GOP with the removal of Christina Caramo, and now the removal of Arizona GOP chairman Jeff DeWitt. You would think that those, the audio tape that she recorded that showed Jeff DeWitt trying to bribe her, you would think that that would have been a front page story that the Republicans would have used to generate and raise tons of money for Kari, or raise in general for Republicans, right? So it shows you that Republicans suck at playing offense. And what I'm worried about is that good candidates, and there's really not a ton of good candidates, but some good candidates, right? People like Kari Lake or even Donald Trump. Are these people going to have enough money to run their races? And look at what they're doing to Donald Trump right now. $83.3 million for the E. Jean Carroll case. They're looking at $370 million for this delayed verdict for Judge Engoron. We were told that we were going to receive the verdict on Wednesday. Now we're told, I just saw a report come across my phone earlier today, Ben Slam, though, going through all these FEC reports with you, that said that the verdict is now going to be delayed until about February, potentially. And now Engoron is also talking about how he wants to give Trump a lifetime business ban. And the reason why he's trying to delay the verdict is so that he can make it so that Trump cannot appeal. He wants to lessen Trump's ability to appeal so that they can try to bankrupt Donald Trump going into the election. I know that, like I said, we've been going through these FEC filings. Aside from, I'm not saying that these candidates have poor fundraising showings. I'm just saying that you'd think that there would be more money raised for somebody like a Kari Lake. And it's not her fault because she's a great candidate. But then you see some of these rhino Trump hater candidates, and it seems like all the Trump hating candidates are being flushed with cash while the true America First candidates are being left out to dry. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I have actually a question for Reid Hoffman. I know we were talking about DeSantis fanboy turned, I guess, Nikki Haley fangirl, Reid Hoffman. Why is he donating money, like massive amounts of money, like millions of dollars, to like PAC supporting Nikki Haley? And then he's dumping millions of dollars into the Montana Senate race on the Republican side. But then Nikki Haley is then taking literally money from people who are donating max to the Democrat Senator Jon Tester. Hey, Reid Hoffman, you're literally like flushing money down the toilet. What you're doing makes no sense. Like I said earlier, if the Republicans don't control the Senate, it doesn't matter. I mean, a Republican president can do a lot with executive orders, don't get me wrong. But in terms of like Supreme Court justices and major legislative victories like that, it can't happen. It doesn't matter. So Reid Hoffman, do you know like the candidate you're giving to is literally doing things counterproductive to what you say your donation's going to? So is Reid Hoffman just dumb, or is Reid Hoffman literally a global elitist who thinks he can just flush $1 million down the toilet because it's funny, because he wants to mess with Donald Trump? And I think it's that. And it's horrific because, look, we're going up on the 1-year anniversary of East Palestine, Ohio. I have a lot of family from around that area. The water there tastes like garbage. Like, Joe Biden hasn't visited. People there don't care. Like, and we see these billionaires now throwing millions of dollars into the election just to mess with Donald Trump. They're literally flushing millions of dollars down the toilet that could be used for things like, I don't know, fixing East Palestine, Ohio. But no, they don't want to do that. They don't want to donate that to charity. No, they rather just throw millions of dollars to mess with Donald Trump. And that's the most disgusting thing out of all this, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And, you see that Donald Trump went to East Palestine over a year ago. And so the Democrats like to pretend that they're actually doing something when they're not doing anything at all. And then Donald Trump gets demonized when he's the only one that has really demonstrated that he actually has compassion and care for the American people. So let's pivot now, because until Nikki Haley drops out, it's going to be very hard for people to focus on a general election because she is, getting tons of media attention, and Nikki Haley is soaking up the resources, having Democrat fundraisers with donors of the Biden Victory Fund. We just showed that this week when Biden was in town and Nikki Haley was in town having her fundraiser. And then we released these reports on Loomer.com from her fundraisers, her upcoming fundraisers in California and Texas. Who are some of the top donors that caught your attention? I know some of them were the Chestoffs. The Chestoffs caught my attention for California because, of course, those people gave over, nearly $1 million to the Biden Victory Fund. And then you have Karen Rove, right? Karl Rove's wife. Her name is actually Karen, who is hosting one of the fundraisers for Nikki Haley in Texas. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so first off, I think the fact that this lady, Karl Rove's wife, is named Karen Rove kind of shows God's on our side with this one. Like, this is too easy to brand. And obviously she's a globalist. So this is really interesting. So 2 out of 3 Texas fundraisers, Karen Rove is the host. And what it looks like Karl Rove's wife did was she brought together all these Chris Christie, Jeb Bush, Liz Cheney donors, and she combined them with Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Adam Schiff, and Joe Manchin donors. And then they reached out to their friends who donate to John Tester, Bob Casey, and Sherrod Brown. So they pulled all these people together. And I wrote in one of the articles, I hope the Roves and everyone else over on Fox News enjoys working with their Democratic colleagues, because that's what they did, pulling a huge uniparty fundraiser. And we want to take this a little step further. Like, Nikki Haley yesterday and the day before just wrapped up some Wall Street fundraisers. And this guy named Spencer Zwick, who basically runs Romney Ryan LLC with Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney's son, right? Mitt Romney's son. And Paul Ryan's the CEO of this company. He was at every single one of Nikki Haley's New York City fundraisers. And this same guy, Spencer Zwick, when Nikki Haley heads to Florida soon, guess what? He's hosting the fundraisers too. And these New York and Florida fundraisers, as we've covered, do the same thing. It's one big Rhino family, like either the Roves or someone connected with Romney and Ryan. They reach out and they pull their Democrat friends in, and then their Democrat friends pull their more extreme Democrat friends in, and then they make these lists. And it turns out that Nikki Haley is receiving money from over 44 mega Democrat donors if you add up all these events during her fundraising tour in California and Texas. It's remarkable, and it's scary because this is a well-funded psyop. And it's pretty funny. Right after I hit send today on the Texas article, within 5 minutes, CNN has Nikki Haley on television, and they're running a headline that says, Haley does better than Biden in polling, even though every single poll for the last year says otherwise. But magically, CNN just like that flipped the narrative. And if you read our articles and track where the money's going, all this narrative flipping makes sense. Nikki Haley is not doing better than Joe Biden. CNN's obviously lying, but that's the end goal, is Nikki psyop, is weaken Trump. So when they cheat in the general election and they say, oh, Donald Trump lost by 5,000 votes in Georgia because of the mail-in ballots, and the people who voted in those mail-in ballots, a lot of them were quote-unquote Nikki Haley Republicans who can never vote for Trump, that's how they're going to justify doing it. And that's the whole, like I said, psyop going on here. And that's what makes Nikki Haley such a dangerous candidate. And that's why it's so important for everyone to go out and vote in their primary, because you have to beat Nikki by a lot so this stupid general election psyop doesn't work.
Yeah, and she's planning on staying in. We saw that Liz Cheney told her to stay in till Super Tuesday. And so, that, of course, Super Tuesday is March 5th. And we can expect Nikki Haley to stay in through South Carolina, because she doesn't really care if she gets defeated in her own home state of South Carolina, because she wants to drain as much resources as possible. That's what she's trying to do. They're trying to drain as many resources as possible from President Trump, from this general election, so that Donald Trump is not only depleted with this lawfare from these corrupt judges like Judge Kaplan and Judge Engoron. And we're going to play a clip right now from Judge Engoron. We're supposed to be hearing the verdict. We were waiting all day Wednesday. I'm sitting around waiting, obsessively checking, waiting to see what's going to happen. And then, of course, it's delayed. And now, it's like they're playing games, right? They're just trying to play games with everybody. And it's like a drip, drip, drip technique where, oh, well, now it's not going to be till February, and oh, well, maybe we're going to have a business ban, and it's just they want everybody on the edge of their seat talking about it, so that everybody's talking about E. Jean Carroll now, and they just want this to drag on and on and on and on all throughout Super Tuesday, all throughout February, because it's all about interfering in the election. And Judge Engoron himself has admitted on video that he's not impartial, right? And so he's clearly biased against Trump. I mean, everybody has seen that firsthand. But let's just go ahead and play it in his own words, and everybody can hear it once and for all. Because this judge is a communist. He should be disbarred. He should be removed from this case, because this is nothing more than a political vendetta against Donald Trump, a witch hunt. Play the clip.
Am I following the law or am I making law? Okay, I'm following law. I'm an impartial referee, but it's hard to factor out my own emotions.
Awful.
I mean, he's admitting that he puts his own emotions into it. So it's not exactly a fair system. And I wouldn't say that this guy is a fair judge. I think that he's a crooked judge. Everybody can see it. We've seen the evidence. We've seen his wife's Twitter account. We've seen all the ramblings from his wife online. I mean, there's so much evidence. There's so much evidence that shows that this guy is definitely biased. Moving on, Charles, we have a lot of these reports, and we could talk about all the donors all day, every day, and we're going to be going through more of these FEC reports. People can go to loomer.com, and they can read all of our reports, and we're going to be working on a lot more this week, and of course, you're doing a great job. But when we're not working on these articles together, we spend a lot of time on the phone. It's so funny. I love talking to Charles on the phone because, a lot of people will want to get off the phone very quickly, or I don't really like being on the phone long, but I can just stay on the phone with Charles for like an hour, and we'll just be on the phone together, and we don't even really say anything. We'll just I sometimes forget he's on the phone, and we'll just be like going through reports, or we're looking at things together like we were last night. Just talking about how unbelievable it was. All these pretend people that claim to be pro-Trump and pro-MAGA taking money from rhinos and working with Jeff Rowe and Axiom and all these DeSantis people. So it's just really funny going through FEC reports, because you just see how full of shit everybody is. That's my favorite part about it. What's your favorite part about it?
No, it's the same thing. Like I've been saying, Nikki Haley, it's disgusting what she's saying. How she says, I'm going to help down ballot Republicans, when literally government records say otherwise. And the fact that she just keeps repeating a lie over and over again on CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, and no one challenges her on it, just shows how fake the media actually really is.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that, and how, E. Jean Carroll herself even talking about how she just wants to go buy a bunch of clothes and a penthouse and, a fishing rod and a motorcycle. So moving on from these cases and from these FEC reports, we just had the big tech hearing on sexual child exploitation, where 5 of the big tech CEOs testified. You had X, you had Meta, you had TikTok, Snapchat, and I believe Discord, right? That was the 5th one. And so you were able to actually attend, right? So Loomer Unleashed tries to cover all these different hearings, and we have a very active presence up on Capitol Hill now, thanks to Charles. And you actually asked Linda Yaccarino, the CEO of X, formerly Twitter, a question as she was leaving the Senate building. So let's go ahead and play that clip.
Step back. Step back. Step back.
Are you planning on endorsing any legislation?
Step back. Step back. Step back.
Will you keep X free and fair in the 2024 election?
Do you think Congress is doing enough to protect kids online?
Will you not censor conservatives?
So hopefully everybody could hear that, but basically you asked her whether she would commit, of course, to not censoring conservatives in 2024, and if she would commit to making X free speech place, ahead of the presidential election as well. And so we saw one of the biggest issues in 2020 was censorship, and the censorship of conservatives in an election year. So she didn't really answer your question, though, did she?
Nah, she didn't, and it was pretty disappointing. And I know I see a lot of people, including yourself, have kind of been complaining about like their Twitter interactions have been going down a little bit lately, and it's weird. And mine kind of do the same thing. It could go up and down, up and down. It really doesn't make any sense. So I wish he would have answered. But that whole hearing, it was really eye-opening. I think one of the most eye-opening parts, and I encourage everyone to like pull this video on C-SPAN. Hearing is filled with like parents of sadly deceased children who died as a result of like stuff going around, algorithms targeted at them, specifically on like TikTok. And
yeah, like online bullying and also drug use. Like the parents, when you say things that were happening, just so we can give some context for people watching, there were people whose kids committed suicide because they were bullied online, or they were victims of these stupid TikTok trends where kids do stupid shit and then they end up dying. Or also, too, there's a lot of drugs that are sold on Snapchat and on TikTok, and people end up, dying. Like kids end up buying pills that are laced with fentanyl. And so you had parents whose kids had died and they were in the audience. And so you had this really kind of morbid image where you had the tech CEOs and then Mark Zuckerberg and then people's children behind them, well, photos of their children on posters and on T-shirts. And, you just have like a sea of people in the audience and photos of their kids who have died, and then senators basically like telling the tech CEOs, well, you don't really care, right? You don't really care about these dead kids, because if you did, you wouldn't be spending all this money trying to kill our legislation, right? So they killed.
But here's where it gets really messed up. So as all this is happening, Sheldon Whitehouse, the Rhode Island senator, if y'all remember, he was a dude who like cried everyone's racist, but then came out that he was a part of an all-white crunchy club. He's this guy. So this dude gets on. It's time for his 5 minutes. And Sheldon Whitehouse goes, Donald Trump got to online harass E. Jean Carroll. And he literally made it about that. He made it about Donald Trump and his crazy lawsuit with E. Jean Carroll. When the topic was on CCP interference and Instagram and Mark Zuckerberg's crooked algorithms. Instead of talking about that, he talked about E. Jean Carroll. And it just shows how depraved a lot of these Senate Democrats are, and how they will stop at nothing to get Trump and try to destroy MAGA. It was one of the most eye-opening things I think I've ever seen. And I
they don't even care about the children.
Watch it. Yeah.
It's sad. I mean, look, these parents are grieving, and it's supposed to be about the children. This is not about Trump or election interference or, political stuff. This is about sexual exploitation, child pornography, and child bullying. And this guy couldn't help himself. These Democrats literally try to make everything about Donald Trump. Even when they have parents that are grieving and looking at them with sadness, they can't help themselves.
Yeah. And like I said, I encourage everyone to go to C-SPAN and watch the hearing. You can type in Sheldon Whitehouse really easily. His clip will come up. But it was remarkable. He made it about Donald Trump and some unfounded claims that, if you all remember, the jury said Donald Trump didn't sexually harass this lady. That was what the first jury said. But they said, he somehow, I guess, was guilty of slander, even though he was fighting back against her allegations. And that's how all this started. So they were putting unrealistic allegations in a hearing about CCP interference, potential CCP interference in the 2024 election, and Mark Zuckerberg's crooked algorithms. And that's what leading Senate Democrats want to make hearings about. And keep in mind, the same people who donate to Sheldon Whitehouse, the same people who donate to John Tester, the same people who donate to Bob Casey and Sherrod Brown, and all the other horrific Democrat candidates up this election cycle are also donating to Nikki Haley. And that just shows the kind of person Nikki Haley really is.
Yeah, it really does speak volumes, right? It does speak volumes about who this woman is and, the type of people that she's willing to take money from. And it shows you that she doesn't really have a moral compass or a conscience for that matter. Some other things that happened. Let's see. We have some new audio footage and hopefully footage too, because it sounds like Fani Willis was being recorded inside her own office by whistleblowers. So we're hoping for more footage. But we have some audio footage that shows that Fani Willis had been, confronted by one of her staffers who was trying to expose the fact that funds were not being spent properly. And now we've seen that she's been subpoenaed And this audio just, confirms that Fani Willis it was brought to her attention, right, that funds were being misused. So she was now like a willing participant, and so she can't really necessarily say that she didn't know about it, right, with this misuse of funds with her lover, Nathan Wade. Now we're hearing reports from people who used to work with her who were fired maliciously as a form of, it seems like, revenge or a way for her to cover her own ass. They are now coming forward with the audio recording. So the date of this recording is November 19th, 2021. It was just released the other day. Let's take a listen to it, because I know that a couple months ago you actually caught up with Fani Willis when she was in D.C., right? She was having a fundraiser at the Washington Post headquarters. And so, it just goes to show you how corrupt these people are, and how the Democrats will accuse Donald Trump of having all this misconduct and impropriety, but then they themselves are engaged in impropriety and misconduct, guilty of the things that they are accusing Trump of. When we want to talk about phone calls and recordings, right? How many times are we going to hear about this stupid phone call with Brad Raffensperger and Donald Trump, right? Oh, find the votes. Well, why don't we listen to this audio? Let's hear a real corrupt call. Let's hear a real corrupt recording of a corrupt official named Fani Willis, who should be in jail, who should not be overseeing the Fulton County case against Donald Trump. Play the audio.
If you had to give me a sentence, what is the sentence theme?
Once I told him about his, respectfully and in an email, about his lack of leadership and the fact that he wanted to do things with grants that were impossible. And I kept telling him, like, we can't do that, and questioning stuff. He would take me off projects, tell people I wasn't doing what I was supposed to, because I questioned him. Because I understood. I helped write that grant. I knew what was in that grant. He told everybody in front of Crystal, Deontay, everybody, we're going to get MacBooks, we're going to do that, we're going to get swag, we're going to use it for travel. I said, you cannot do that. It's a very, very specific grant. Took me off. I questioned Junior DA. There's kids in there from out of the county, all this. Took me off Junior DA. I did not want to do it. He made it look as if I wasn't doing what I needed to do, because I questioned him. Because I knew for a fact Mr. Cuffey respectfully did not know what he was doing, period.
So I respect that is your assessment. It was clear to me that you and Mr. Cuffey were not getting along. And I'm not saying that your assessment is wrong. I want you to really listen to the words I'm saying.
Cuffey, and this is my personal opinion, to one woman to another, is dangerous to your administration. He tells people, when I reached out to you, he told me, you think your word is safe? Exactly when you reached out to Miss Willis, she called me and told me, she tell me everything. So once you reach out to her, she's going to reach back out to me. So I didn't even go to HR, and he put Dexter's name on my PDP, and I didn't even feel safe going to anybody.
Can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 supervisors that have failed in this field. What's interesting to me, because I'm in a learning curve too, they each pretend to have a relationship with me that they do not have. Mm-hmm. I guess that's an intimidation tactic. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that you felt that way, but Dexter certainly don't have no relationship with Michael Cuffey. You were safe to go those places.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah, and it's just remarkable. So I think we have the best footage out of anyone that exposes Fani Willis. So obviously we have the video of me talking to Fani Willis, but then we also have a video of me talking to Jamie Raskin last December, right before Christmas. And I say, hey, Congressman, everyone remember Jamie Raskin? He was the dude on the J6 committee, second highest ranking member behind Benny Thompson. Jamie Raskin was actually the first one. He wrote this with Liz Cheney to suggest that Trump could get kicked off the ballot, because Jamie Raskin is also our lawyer. So Jamie Raskin wrote this lame opinion with the J6 committee that Trump could get kicked off the ballot, and we saw what happened. Colorado and Maine and a bunch of other liberals took that and ran with it. So Jamie Raskin's like the key player in all this. So we asked Jamie Raskin, I go, hey, Congressman, the J6 committee says, the House Oversight Committee says the J6 committee deleted their communications with, guess who? Fani Willis. And he denies it. And the best part is he uses Liz Cheney as a reference to say he denies it. And then he says, oh, you work for Trump, you're a liar, yada, yada, yada. But the House Oversight Committee, this is one of the few good things the House GOP has actually done, has exposed that the J6 committee deleted files, deleted their communications with Fani Willis. and they're lying about it to the American people. I mean, Jamie Raskin literally looked at the camera and lied, not just to me, but to everyone else about what was really happening. And we're the only people who really have these kind of footage and have this. But it's just remarkable to see like all the connections. And Nathan Wade's ex-wife, God bless her, because if she wasn't really mad about this divorce, as she should be,
right,
and she should be really mad at Fani Willis, nobody would really know about this because a lot of stuff wouldn't be getting exposed.
Well, we have that video of you confronting. We have that video, so we're going to go ahead and play that video really quick, and then we have another quick commercial break, and well, let's go ahead and play that clip of you confronting Fani Willis a couple months ago when we discovered that she was going to be having a fundraiser at the Washington Post headquarters. And so, of course, you know, it just goes to show you how these witch hunts are just exactly that, right? Witch hunt. And you have the Washington Post, which is, you know, funded by Democrats, supported by Democrats, always attacking Trump. And then Fani Willis, of course, is having fundraisers inside their headquarter office. And when she saw you, she didn't really exactly want to answer any questions. So let's play this clip.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
How's it going, everyone? I'm currently in an alleyway right outside the Washington Post building. You see those 3 SUVs behind me? Those belong to Miss Fani Willis. She avoided me earlier and went in through the side. It's pretty remarkable that the DA of Fulton County, Georgia, came to Washington, D.C. for a fundraiser. Why is she raising money off people in D.C. unless her prosecutions of Trump are literally national and it's being coordinated by the Biden White House? That's the only explanation to all of this. The only thing. It is literally quite a remarkable scene here, right outside the Washington Post. Miss Willis, why did you come to D.C. for a fundraiser? You're the Fulton County DA, not the D.C. DA. Are you coordinating with the Biden DLJ to arrest Trump? You clearly don't want to answer the questions because you put the garage door down. Miss Willis, are you sure you don't want to answer if you're coordinating with the Biden DLJ on your Trump prosecution? You talk a lot on X and in court, but you don't really want to talk when you can't control the narrative, do you?
So, no accountability, right? You can see her photo in the glass doors there. So, it just goes to show you how incestuous it is with the Democrat-led media and, you know, all these Democrat political operatives. It's just no fairness.
I'll say this.
Right? It leaves a really nasty
really
taste
weird.
in your mouth.
Yeah, and it was really weird too because here in Washington D.C., it's a little different. So like I know like outside of D.C., a lot of Democrats and stuff they don't want to get on camera, but here in D.C., like politicians, they go out of their way to like walk on the sidewalks. Like they'll try to fight with you, like we saw with Jamie Raskin. Like they'll try to one up you. So it's really weird that Fani Willis was hiding because most politicians in Washington D.C. kind of embrace the questions because they're going to try to spin it the way they want to spin it. So the fact that she's hiding, and that's extremely unusual for this town, shows that like she did not want to be caught where she was at.
Right. Well, we have a few more stories to talk about, but before that, I want to thank the second sponsor of tonight's episode of Loomer Unleashed, Goldco. If you like Goldco and you've used Goldco and you just want to go straight to the site, you can go to loomerlikesgold.com. Again, that's loomerlikesgold.com, my very own dedicated page. There's a lot of talk right now on the campaign trail and also just in the media about the creation of the central bank digital currencies or the digital dollar. And so a lot of people had said, oh, we're never going to get to this point where we have a cashless society and we have a digital dollar. But that's where things are heading right now, thanks to the Biden administration. You have sweeping executive orders by the Biden administration, or the Biden regime, as I like to call them. And they are pushing and encouraging central banks to design and even hire the creators for these digital currencies. And this is the thing, right? A digital dollar can be used to track your purchases, control what you buy, and even seize or freeze your assets. This has happened to me in the past, where we've seen, my bank account and my money frozen and shut down on payment processors and platforms. Imagine, right, what would happen if they created a digital dollar and you didn't have cash and they just decided one day that, you support Trump, or, you support whoever you want to support, and then they don't support you anymore and they freeze your money, and that's it. You don't have any money anymore because, well, it's a digital dollar, very much like the Chinese social credit score system. So that's why it's so critical that you protect your money with precious metals like gold and silver. And that's why I've decided to partner with the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco, because they're a great company with an amazing reputation. And right now they're offering up to $10,000 in free silver while supplies last. You can see here at loomerlikesgold.com. And if you call this week and you use my code Loomer, or you go to the website, loomerlikesgold.com, you'll receive a free Ronald Reagan silver coin. So don't wait until all of your money is under Joe Biden's control. Go to loomerlikesgold.com to learn how you could get started today. Again, that is loomerlikesgold.com. Check it out. Check out Goldco. We love the fact that they support free speech. We love the fact that they support Loomer Unleashed. And one of the things that you can do to support the sponsors of Loomer Unleashed is by supporting them. So again, thank you, Goldco. Thank you, Rumble. Go to loomerlikesgold.com and tell them Laura Loomer sent you. Let's see. Well, let's go to the chat. I think we have a few questions. Also, too, I saw up on Capitol Hill today, since you are the official DC correspondent, let's just talk about the absolute embarrassment that is known as Marjorie Taylor Greene. The woman today apparently introduced her resolution to censure Ilhan Omar. And it's kind of funny because, Ilhan Omar could have been censured a long time ago and they chose not to. I mean, we're going to play a video for you and you can see how I confronted Ilhan Omar in 2018 before she was ever elected to Congress. I confronted Rashida at the same event, and it's like, these members of Congress had access to all this information about their open ties to terrorist organizations and the fact that they are doing their bidding on behalf of Islamic nations, as opposed to the United States of America. But they chose to demonize me as anti-Muslim and to call me an Islamophobe instead of doing their job. But now Ilhan Omar, right? You have Ilhan Omar and Marjorie Taylor Greene going at it because Marjorie has decided that she wants to censure Ilhan Omar, even though she's known from day one what a radical Ilhan Omar was. And what's the coincidence of today? Oh, but it just happens to be the first day of the new fundraising quarter. And so Marjorie's looking to raise some of that campaign cash, right? Because, well, she wants to start it out fast. And a lot of people really aren't donating to Republicans right now because, well, why would they? Why would you give your money to anybody aside from Donald Trump right now when you see what an absolute shit show the Congress is? These people can't do anything. She supports McCarthy, right? Look at these people. Supported Kevin McCarthy. Then we got a motion to vacate. Now we have Speaker Johnson. Now Speaker Johnson doesn't want to pass a standalone border bill. Speaker Johnson has lied about releasing the J6 tapes. It's been an absolute nightmare and a disaster. So why would anybody want to give anybody in Congress a single dime? I don't know, but we're going to play this clip just so you can see what a liar Marjorie is, because they should have censored Ilhan Omar on day one, because this video was released in August of 2018 before Ilhan Omar was elected to Congress. So go ahead and play the clip. Hi, my name is Laura Loomer. I just had a quick for you. I was wondering if, since you're now going to become the first. No, my hands are cold. It's so cold in here.
Yeah.
I was wondering, congratulations on your primary. Since you're going to be the first Palestinian Muslim,
I'm so sorry.
are you willing to?
Oh, I can tell. I actually like people
Are you
like
her? Rashida, are you willing to admit as a congresswoman that Hamas is a terrorist organization? I really need to know that if this woman is going to be elected to Congress, that it's a serious question.
I heard about her.
Rashida.
I heard she like stalks you and stuff. Incredible opportunity for us to be able to come together as one community.
What about
and
your
really
Jewish
change the
constituents?
world. I'm now going to be a member of Congress, inshallah. The most important thing is that we fight back. But I love coming from a place of love.
Then why are you
When I talk
campaigning
to
with
people,
Linda Sarsour, who
I
called for
love
jihad
all of
against
you
President
so
Trump?
much. So that is afforded to all of us.
What about justice
It
for
is
little girls,
important.
Elon? You
It is
voted against
important for us to
legislation
recognize
that would have made
that in
FGM
the
a
United
felony.
States-
Why is she so hateful against Israel? Are they going to recognize the United States decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel?
Time for
She married her brother. Elon, why did you marry your brother? Elon Omar married her brother. She committed immigration fraud so that her brother could get a green card.
That's up to the government.
And the government has decided that immigration fraud is a crime and incest is illegal in the United States of America. It is a violation of campaign finance rules to use your campaign funds to pay for your divorce from your brother. CARE is recognized as a designated terrorist organization in United Arab Emirates. Both of these candidates have been endorsed by CARE, a terrorist organization. The federal government found during the Holy Land Foundation trial that CARE had ties to terrorism. They were funding Hamas, which Rashida, candidate for Congress, supports. She needs to decide whether she's an American or a Muslim first. Is she a Palestinian or is she an American first? So that was the good old days, right? That was a long time ago, before I got banned on all social media and had my life wrecked by deplatforming and all the censorship. So, and now the media is going crazy, of course, because we talked about Ilhan Omar the other night, and Media Matters now is going crazy because we were just making fun of them, right? We were making fun of them and their DEI policies and how they, these people love defending Ilhan Omar, even though she's completely inbred. Okay, this is a woman who committed incest. She comes from Somalia, a country where the average IQ is 68. Here in America, the legal classification for mental retardation is 70. And of course I'm going to talk about this because it's facts. And so Media Matters then does a story and they say, oh, I really do believe in IQ science. Laura Loomer, a Trump ally, floated for a potential White House position, goes on wildly racist rant against Ilhan Omar. So it's racist to point out the fact that a Muslim congresswoman wants to destroy our country and that she has more of an allegiance to Somalia in her own words. I mean, we literally played the clip and then they actually said in this Media Matters article, which I'm going to print out and use as toilet paper tonight when I get home, in case you're watching Media Matters, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to literally take your article and print it, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to relax and I'm going to use it as toilet paper.
It's Loomer time.
Did you hear that? It's Loomer time. I'm going to
It's
go
Loomer
home,
time.
just so you can hear it again. I'm going to print the article and I'm going to crinkle it up. I don't think it's soft enough, though, to use as toilet paper. I really don't. I don't want to get a paper cut. So maybe I won't. Maybe I won't, right? I don't even think I'd wipe my dog's ass with your article because that's how little I think about you and the people over at Media Matters. Anyway, these people, they seem to think that it's racist, right? To play videos using Ilhan Omar's own words against her. And look, it's so funny too, because Ilhan Omar makes all these nasty derogatory comments about Jews and Christians. And then I make a joke, right? When I have a black dog right here with me talking as my DEI hire, I made a funny joke mocking the DEI policies. And then they say, oh, Laura Loomer called Ilhan Omar a black dog. Oh, boo-hoo, shut up. Nobody cares, okay? Nobody cares. I didn't necessarily say that she was a black dog. I was just asking my black dog co-host what he thought. about Ilhan Omar, and I asked him if she was his type, right? So I just figured that, that was his type. And I asked him the same thing about Karine Jean-Pierre. So who knows, right? I guess the media, right? They like to dish it out. They like to elevate black supremacy. They like to call everybody a white supremacist. They like to demonize white people. They love elevating Ilhan Omar, who demonizes Jews, who won't condemn Hamas, who chopped off the heads of babies on October 7th, and they won't condemn Rashida Tlaib. But then I'm not allowed to make a factual comment about Ilhan Omar. I'm going to continue saying what I want to say about Ilhan Omar, and I'm pretty sure that my audience. I'm pretty sure that my audience enjoyed it too. What do you think? Do you think I'm a racist, Charles? Do you think I'm a racist? You work with me. Am I a racist? Do I scream the N-word when we're on the phone together? I don't think so. I am a pretty agreeable person. I am not a racist. I treat everybody with respect. And for Media Matters to call me a racist, it's just more fake news. Have you ever heard me say anything racist in your life?
No, I have not. And I don't think you're a racist. And here's what I really find interesting about all this is these Media Matters people, they claim to be like feminists and women's rights and stuff, but they're supporting a woman who literally like wants a government that takes away all women's rights. Like where she's from, women aren't allowed to drive cars. Women aren't allowed to go anywhere without a man. If a woman looks at a different dude the wrong way,
Sharia supremacy.
Literally stoned. Like they throw rocks at her. They're literally stoned to death.
Do you want to know what Ilhan Omar, the punishment for Ilhan Omar's behavior would be? If we were in Somalia right now, Ilhan Omar would be stoned to death for being the adulterous whore that she is, okay? So she cheated on her husband, she married her brother who was gay, and then she slept with a married man who was her consultant. Do you know what they do to adulterous whores in Somalia? They stone them to death. So maybe Ilhan Omar should be grateful that we're not in Somalia, right? Or maybe she should go back to Somalia and face her fate. I don't know. Maybe she should. I mean, I've honestly, maybe Sharia law doesn't sound so bad after all. Maybe it doesn't really sound so bad after all. I don't know. I mean, like, if that's what's going to happen, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't sound so bad after all.
I mean, here's the craziest part.
I keyed. Speaking of another.
I know you're joking.
I joke. No, I'm not actually. I'm not actually in favor of Sharia law. But maybe we'll make an exception.
I mean, like, here's the weirdest part, right? So, like, she's taking money from CARE and stuff, and CARE's cool with this, so I don't know. I doubt anyone in Iran or Somalia or anywhere like that is listening to this. But hey, y'all getting played. Like the people in charge of you are literally giving money to people who you would throw stones at in the street. So maybe you guys should do something about that because, like I said, it just shows how corrupt and dirty the whole system is and how.
I'm not allowed to talk about CARE, but that's your words. I'm not allowed to speak about them.
Those are my words.
We have our own Islamic blasphemy laws here in America that are implemented by Jewish judges. That's the reality that we're living in. Judge Bruce Reinhart, right? So unfortunately, I'm not allowed to speak about CARE anymore. And as everybody knows, because it's public information, I have the judgment issued against me as well because. Well, people can go look it up. I'm not even really supposed to talk about it. And I'm not talking about it, but I'm just letting people know because every single time CARE is mentioned in my presence, I have to, reiterate the fact that I'm actually respecting the order and I'm not in violation. Otherwise, Bruce Reinhart is going to try to throw me up and throw me in the slammer and lock me up. Because he doesn't like Trump supporters, right? He ordered the raid on Mar-a-Lago and he would do the same to me if he could. So, that's the world that we're living in. And if people want to look it up and they want to see the details for themselves, no, I'm not exaggerating. You can go learn all about what has been done to me and kind of the reality that I'm living right now. But no, it is just really funny how they like to say, and then Mehdi Hassan, who's another Sharia supremacist, right? Let's see. Mehdi Hassan goes, oh, In any normal world, a GOP presidential candidate who is palling around with and considering hiring a woman who calls a black congresswoman a black dog would be finished. But it's Trump, so no one challenges him on it, and he suffers no political costs. Mehdi Hasan was literally fired from MSNBC for calling Jews and Christians cattle, and for basically like calling for the death of homosexuals. So I just think it's really funny that this like Muslim mouthpiece, Mehdi Hasan, who is a full-blown jihadist Sharia supremacist, who gets fired from his network because he's such a radical Muslim. You know how much of a radical Muslim, like how despicable you have to be. I mean, they literally were allowing for Muslims to celebrate the October 7th attacks on Jews, which Mehdi Hasan did himself, by the way. He was trying to make excuses for and justify the killing of innocent Jews because he's a bloodthirsty jihadist Muslim. Okay, that's what he is, and that's why he was fired from MSNBC. It's just so funny, like how they want to optics cuck me, these people. Hey, buddy, I wasn't fired. I was never fired anywhere for my rhetoric, okay? I got canceled for telling the truth about you and your people, okay? You and your supremacist people that like, you know, mutilating the genitals of young girls and murdering Jews and murdering Christians and blowing people up, okay? Your people who were responsible for 9/11, you asshole. Okay, so keep my name out of your mouth, Mehdi Hasan. We have that clip somewhere too. I think that we could probably play it. We could probably play the clip of Mehdi Hasan calling Jews and Christians cattle. I have that clip somewhere. Let's play it. That's in your book, your people, Mehdi. That's what's in your book, your Quran, okay? My people don't do things like that. Jews and Christians don't behave that way, okay? So next time you want to talk about me, let's remind everybody why you were fired, okay? Because you were fired for calling Jews and Christians cattle and for making extremely homophobic comments, right? Because what does your book call for? It calls for the killing of Jews and Christians. And what does your culture do, Mehdi? Well, you advocate for the killing of homosexuals. So you really want to talk about my statements about Ilhan Omar, and you want to try to criticize me and say I'm not allowed to call her out for being a jihadist because she's black, I'll do whatever the hell I want to do. Okay? I'll say whatever the hell I want to say, Mehdi. And you had the opportunity to say what you wanted to say, but you got fired, right? You got fired. So it's just so funny how these people, they never want to talk about their own actions. They just want to attack me. Let's go ahead and play this clip for everybody to see. This is the guy who's running his mouth who just got fired from MSDNC for being a radical Muslim. Go ahead and play it.
In Islam, the ends do not justify the means. This idea is totally alien to Islam. In Islam, what is halal, what is haram is haram. We do not bend our law, our morality for our short-term aims. Never. And we never lose the moral high ground. If we know anything of Shia of Muhammad, as Shia of Ali, as Shia of Hassan, as Shia of Hussein, we know that keeping the moral high ground is key. Once we lose the moral high ground, we are no different from the rest of the non-Muslims, from the rest of those human beings who live their lives as animals, bending any rule to fulfill any desire. Once we do that, we are lost.
Islam, to believe is to know. To disbelieve is not to know. That is what it fundamentally comes down to. It is to remain ignorant, to cover up knowledge. After all, what is kafir? Kafir comes from the root word, which means to cover up, to conceal. The kafir is the one who covers up that knowledge which is clear. The French Orientalist scholar Lamens, he once wrote that the Quran is not far from considering unbelief, disbelief, as an infirmity, as an illness, as a disease of the human mind. Subhanallah. Non-Muslims point this out to us. Of course, the kafir, the disbelievers, the atheists who remain deaf and stubborn to the teachings of Islam, the rational message of the Quran, they are described in the Quran as, quote, a people of no intelligence. Allah describes them. Not of no morality, not of no belief, a people of no intelligence. because they are incapable of the intellectual effort it requires to shake off those blind prejudices, to shake off those easy assumptions about this world, about the existence of God. In this respect, the Quran describes the atheists as cattle, as those who go with the crowd and do not stop and wonder about this world.
All of these ulama unanimously agree that at the very minimum, if Yazid was not a kafir, then at the very minimum, he was a fasiq, a transgressor, a breaker of Islamic laws, a corrupt individual, a tyrant, a killer, a drunkard, a dog lover, a music lover, a homosexual, a pedophile, a sexual deviant, someone who slept with his own mother, astaghfirullah. These are their views of these ulama in their books, not my view, not Imam Hussein's view, not Ayatollah Sistani's view. This is their view about Yazid. It's all there in black and white. Yet Allah should be pleased with such a man, astaghfirullah. Allah should be pleased with him. Indeed, the fact is, and this is important, Yazid is not simply a fasiq. He was an out-and-out kafir.
So it's just really funny, right, that this guy's going to say, oh, she called Ilhan Omar a black dog. No, we're making a joke, okay, about DEI and how, I'm not allowed to talk about Ilhan Omar, right, because they say that anybody that talks about Ilhan Omar, we're not hearing the words that are coming out of her mouth. We all must be deaf, or we don't know how to read a translation of the language she's speaking. And then when she actually does have her mask off moment and then says that she's working on behalf of Somalia as a foreign agent, we're not allowed to talk about that because, once again, she's black, okay? You're not allowed to criticize any black Democrat, okay? Ilhan Omar, Lloyd Austin, Kamala Harris, who's not even black, Karine Jean-Pierre, just like I was talking about. And so I had the black dog with me. I had the black dog, Derek, as my DEI co-host. You can see Derek there. We put some glasses and a hat on him so that he can match Ilhan Omar, because we know she loves her little head covering. And we had some fun making fun of DEI. So they want to call it racist. I don't really give a shit. You know what's racist is when Ilhan Omar says it's all about the Benjamins. You know what's racist is when Ilhan Omar likes to speak blood libel about Jewish people and say that we don't need to feel sympathy for the people of Israel or the Jews that were slaughtered because they had it coming, which is what she and Rashida Tlaib basically said. And they, to this day, still have not condemned Hamas. So I really don't care about their feelings. I don't care how many hit pieces these people write about me and how they want to have their little savage commentators like Mehdi Hassan, who's a jihadist, and he has jihadist tendencies and sympathies, as I just showed you in that clip. It's why he was literally fired from MSNBC, okay? Like, when you're too radical for MSDNC, you might as well just, like, get on a plane and try to go to Gaza. Oh, that's right. They don't have an airport, right? Because it's gone.
Yeah, they got bombed out.
Yeah, well, good.
Oops.
Right? Good. They don't have an airport because they're controlled by Hamas. Right? They're controlled by Hamas. And maybe if Mehdi Hassan would have actually done his job as opposed to being a mouthpiece for terrorists in Qatar and in Gaza who supported him and propped him up when he was a mouthpiece over at MSDNC, maybe he would have a job today if he actually reported the truth and talked about how he can't just take a plane over to Gaza and land. Why do they not have an airport? Oh, because Islamic aggression against the Jews in Israel, right, caused their airstrip to be bombed. So maybe he shouldn't be such a terrorist sympathizer, and then maybe he would still have a job. And then maybe instead of tweeting about me and not tagging me because he's a coward and doesn't have the courage to tag me, maybe Mehdi Hassan would have a platform to actually say these things that he wants to say about me and criticize me for on television. But he doesn't have a job anymore because even MSDNC said that his Jew hatred and his pro-jihadist, pro-Hamas, pro-Qatar bullshit that just spewed out of his mouth like a hose was too much for them. I mean, imagine how mentally ill and screwed up and how radical you have to be fired from MSDNC. So I don't really care what Mehdi Hassan thinks about me. And you know what? If he wants to talk about me every single time he wants to utter my mouth and put my mouth on Twitter, I'll just blast that tweet out to my nearly 900,000 Twitter followers. I'm just going to keep on sharing that clip and then everybody can see, right? He wants to accuse me of saying that someone's a dog. Let's see what he says about Jews and Christians. He's despicable. He is absolutely despicable, and people like him need to be removed from this country. Okay, they need to be purged from this country because we have a national security problem in this country, and we need to purge and deport all jihadists and their sympathizers from this country, or else we're going to have another 9/11 on steroids. That's what's going to happen in this country. And I know that Republicans are scared because they don't want to be called an Islamophobe, and they don't want to be called anti-Muslim, and they don't want to be called all these things. I don't care. I've been called these names for the last 7 years of my life. What are you going to do? Cancel me? Cool. You can't cancel me, bitch. I've been canceled everywhere. So have fun. Nice try. See you later. Like, what are they really going to do to me that they haven't already done to me?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Like,
so I'm not scared of them. I don't care.
Shouldn't it be? And it's so ironic, too, because, like, Joe Biden and Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and all the other lamos running the Democrat Party will be like, oh, MAGA's the most existential threat America faces. It's just like, y'all need to look at your own party. Look at Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. They led a real insurrection on Capitol Hill. They literally let terrorist sympathizers into the United States House of Representatives.
Let them inside.
Offices.
They had a Hamas insurrection. They were outside with people who were waving Hamas flags. Rashida Tlaib was with people who were waving Hamas flags. These people are full-blown terror supporters, and they want to try to optics cuck me. It's just they will go so low in defending this terrorist trash that has infiltrated our country that is sitting inside Congress, okay? It's disgusting. It's not representative of all Muslims. It's representative of the most radical faction that has been given a voice. There are many Muslims in this country that oppose Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, and even they are called racist. Like, there's not a voice for the people in this country who have fled Islamic totalitarianism, like people from Iran or women from Pakistan and other places where women are viciously treated, and where a lot of Muslims now have reverted to either atheism or even Christianity, and they've converted or they've just left Islam altogether after successfully making it to America. There's no voice for these people. There's no voice for the former Muslims because the Muslims in positions of power on TV, whether it be MSDNC, like formerly with Mehdi Hassan, or the Muslims in power in Congress, like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib or Andre Carson, all these people are just so radical. These are radical individuals. These are Muslims with jihadist sympathies, and those are the mouthpieces. You never see any Muslim organizations in America that are being led by or spearheaded by people calling out the Quran or calling for an Islamic reformation. There are Muslims like that, but where are their voices? They elevate, the Muslim community in America intentionally elevates the most radical voices because I don't really see anybody protesting this, right? Sure, there are some moderate Muslims or pro-Islamic reformers here in America. I've met some of them. Some of them are very lovely people, supporters of mine. But one of the things that we talk about is how there's no organizations amplifying their voices. Where's the resources being put into Islamic Reformation movements to counter what we're seeing right now? Except you're not seeing that. You're seeing thousands of hijabis march on Washington, D.C. in support of the Palestinians and holding up their terrorist flags. And you're seeing people refuse to assimilate. You even see people waving ISIS flags in places like Dearborn, Michigan. So it's not racist to say what I'm saying. All of this is documented, okay? Ilhan Omar's district is now the #1 ISIS recruitment location in the entire United States, according to FBI statistics. And there's a reason for that. There is a reason for that, and we need to call it out. So these people can keep calling me racist. I don't really care. Like, I'm going to probably be called a racist for the rest of my life. I don't care, okay? Like, at the end of the day, I'm not running for office right now. I ran twice. I don't need to be a part of the clown show and the circus known as the House GOP in Congress right now. So my efforts right now are entirely focused on trying to help President Trump get elected. And President Trump has also called out this jihadist infiltration in our country. President Trump has called it out. He's the most pro-Israel, pro-Jewish, anti-terror president we've ever had in this country. And he didn't do it by starting wars in the Middle East. He did it by being strong and leading from the front, unlike people like Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama, who led the way for places like Minnesota to be a dumping ground, you could call it, for these Somali refugees who then, they came to our country. So you import the third world, you elect the third world, and you become the third world. That is what is happening in our country. And we need to have laws in this country that make it so that you can only be an elected official if you are a natural born citizen. You shouldn't be allowed to come to this country as an immigrant, not be born here, or come as a refugee and run for office. I think that you need to be a U.S. citizen, no more dual citizen. We need to get these foreigners out of our positions of government. We need to expel all foreigners from positions of government in the United States government. It's just so unacceptable that we have people with dual loyalties serving in our government. And this shouldn't be a controversial thing to say. This is why we're in the mess today that we're in, because we have allowed for people like Ilhan Omar, who came off the boat from Somalia, and now she's here and she's essentially telling people from these rallies in her district where she's not even speaking English, saying things like, oh, I'm an agent for Somalia and we're going to put Somalia first from within the United States Congress. It's unacceptable. That's called treason. She should be removed from Congress and she should be deported back to Somalia.
Yeah, and I'm going to go here with this. Taylor Swift. So we got, obviously, Taylor Swift's been a topic about a lot of this stuff. Feminism, right? She's a feminist icon. How can Taylor Swift go endorse someone like Joe Biden in 2020? She's going to endorse a Democrat-leading candidate in 2024. When the Democrats have the most anti-feminist people in Ilhan Omar in their party.
No, even worse, you know that Taylor Swift,
do you know that, and see what happens.
You know that the head of her security was an IDF.
Oh, yeah.
And she had a guy in the IDF that was the head of her security, and he left her security team to go serve in the IDF after October 7th. And she never once issued a statement of support for him. She never condemned Hamas. She never issued any statements of solidarity with the Israeli people. She had a security guard who left to go join the IDF. And it's like, where's her support, right? Did she use her platform to speak out about all these Jewish women that were viciously raped and all the children that were viciously raped by Hamas? No, she didn't. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's sickening to me. That's why I don't care about what anybody says about me, because how many more people need to be blown up, raped, kidnapped, or held hostage or decapitated for people to start speaking truth about Islam? How many more? So yeah, the reason why Ilhan Omar is a problem isn't because she's black. It has nothing to do with the color of her skin. It has everything to do with the fact that she is a jihadist. Okay. And until we start having that conversation, no one's going to understand it. So sometimes you do have to be a little bit provocative and inflammatory in order for people to pay attention to your message. Because, well, newsflash, nobody really seems to give a shit about the national security threat that's been created by allowing for jihadist women to serve in Congress. So I'm not apologizing for anything I say, and I stand by everything that I said. And I'll say it again. We have to go to a couple. Oh, go ahead, and then we're going to transition over to Super Chats.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if we had a real media, someone would ask Taylor Swift, you endorsed Biden and a bunch of Democrats before, yet you never had a concert in Baghdad or Tehran. Why is that? She wouldn't be able to answer. But it would open a lot of people's eyes as to, like I said, how can these like quote-unquote radical feminists be supporting a Democratic Party who gives countries like Iran $10 billion, and Iran, women can't drive a car by themselves without getting stoned to death. Please, like
they're jailing women for not wearing the hijab in Iran. They have a compulsory hijab. So let's move over to Super Chats now, because we've actually been streaming for almost 4 hours now. So time flies when you're having fun. It's just such a party all the time on Loomer Unleashed. Let's see. The Observer 777. I'm reading the chat while I listen to Tim Pool. Thank you. Logjam11. Scroll down. Supporter, is it possible to actually read Ashley Biden's diary? I think segments of it. Thanks for your support. PDX Leroy, $20. Great show, Laura. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Elma Architect said, ask James what his favorite disguise is. Well, maybe next time. Bagel Boy said, how do I contribute to OMG? I believe you just go on their website and there was a link to donate. Pure Blood Sailor said, Ron DeSunken ship will never be president. His political career is over. Yep, absolutely. GOP Congress sub-supporter said, James O'Keefe and his merry band of Mata Hari saying saving America, one horny communist at a time. Yeah, that's true. That's funny. A woman was reprimanded in London by the police for singing the Gospels to herself as she walked through town a week ago. Yeah, I'm not really like surprised to see that. It's crazy. And look what's happening in the UK. They're being dominated by Islamic supremacists. Ainsley Michelle, great show tonight, Laura. Thank you. Righteous Patriot, I absolutely love this woman. Thank you so much. Optimistic Realizer said, never back down except to Laura Loomer. Yep. Man FFM11 said, I sent LL money. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. Charles, any last words before we go? Because it's been real. It's been great having you on. You've done a lot of great reporting. People can go to loomered.com if they want to read your latest investigative reports. Maybe you'll go to Capitol Hill this week and confront Ilhan Omar. I think you should. I think you should confront Ilhan Omar and ask her when she plans on resigning or when she wants to register as a foreign agent. Maybe she needs to register with FARA since she's a foreign agent.
I think that's a great idea, but sadly, Congress jets out of town Friday, Thursday nights, so we can check, but these people don't work 5-day weeks, so that might be
next week.
So lazy, but we'll get her. Not on us, it's on them because they can't stay in town for a full work week. Too hard.
It's too hard.
Yeah. Give me a follow on X.
They can't work.
Downs, and it's always great coming on the show. It's always so much fun. But there's my page. It's fantastic. I'd love to get over 20,000 followers soon. So if y'all could follow and tell me.
Follow Charles, the Charles Downs. Be sure you're following him, support him. He does great work on loomer.com and also as our Loomer Unleashed DC contributor. And, maybe you can send Charles some DMs. You follow him online, send him a DM and encourage him to go confront a few people up in Washington, DC. So, Charles, thank you so much for coming on. Keep up the great work and we will talk soon. It's great having you on tonight.
Sounds great. And it's always great hanging out with you, Laura.
Thank you, Charles. So Charles is great. He does a lot of great work. He works hard and he's on it. He really knows his stuff. Let's see. A lot of really nice messages tonight. Thank you so much for everybody in the chat. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the nice comments. Somebody said, let's see. Where is the best place to donate to me? You can go on my website, loomered.com and donate. Or if you want to become a monthly subscriber, you can click on Get Loomered at the bottom of my Rumble chat here, and you can become a monthly subscriber. So you can donate directly on my website, loomered.com, and click donate, or become a monthly subscriber because that's how you can support our work here. So go to Rumble, be sure that you download the app and that you follow me at Laura Loomer on Rumble. It's free. And then you can click the Get Loomered button, exit out of it, and show people again how they do it. You see Loomer Unleashed. There's my page. And then you click Get Loomered. And then you go down to the bottom and it says support. Click support. And you can give once. You can give yearly or monthly. So you could do $7 a month, $70 a year, or you can give a one-time donation as well. It all goes towards supporting this production so that we can continue bringing you cutting-edge, uncensored reports that triggers the worst people in our country, right? Every time we do an episode, who knew that they would be calling poor Derek racist? My God, I had to tell the office today. I said the dog now has its own Media Matters hit piece. They're trying to do hit pieces on my DEI black dog, Derek the black dog. It's so sad. These people hate dogs. They just hate fun. They just hate when people have fun and they joke. They want everybody to be politically correct. They just want everybody to live in fantasy la la land and no one's allowed to say anything. But I'm going to keep saying what I want to say. And I personally think it's hilarious. I don't know how you could see this photo of the dog dressed up in glasses and a hat and not think that my joke about him being my DEI hire is not hilarious. I think it's hilarious. I mean, if you don't think a joke about a black dog is funny, then you just have no sense of humor. I don't really care if you like it. I like it. That's what matters. And I'm pretty sure the chat likes it. Press 1 in the chat if you like Derek the Black Dog. Press 1 if you want more black dog jokes. Press 1 if you want more dog cam and black dog jokes. Let's see. Yeah, everybody in the chat says 1. See? Everybody likes the jokes. Everybody likes the dog. So I appreciate everybody that supports the show and also enjoys the dog jokes. Oh, we got Marnie in the chat. Marnie Hockenberg, 1 for Derek. Yep. Well, thank you to everybody. It's been a long night. Next week, it's going to be another episode of Loomer Unleashed. I was just on Lou Dobbs' show, and Lou Dobbs wants to come on, so I think that we're going to have Lou Dobbs on next week. We're going to have a lot of really interesting guests. We're hoping to get a lot of really exciting guests to talk about a lot of different issues in the next coming weeks. I'm also going to be going to South Carolina in about a week and a half or so. We're planning for that trip. I see a lot of you are asking me if I'm going to be going to South Carolina. I will. I plan on going to South Carolina. We're in the process of planning all that out. But in the meantime, thank you so much to everybody who tuned in to episode 25 of Loomer Unleashed tonight. If you joined late, you can also watch the rerun of the show on my Rumble channel. Also, please be sure that you're following me, you're subscribed to me, follow Rumble, download Rumble, the app, and then follow Laura Loomer. Subscribe to me on Locals. Follow me on X at Laura Loomer. I'm also on True Social at Laura Loomer. And that's where you can get all of my updated reports, as well as loomer.com. With that, I hope that all of you enjoyed this episode, another spicy episode that I'm sure they're going to write another Media Matters hit piece about. But we can't be afraid to speak the truth, you guys. We always have to speak the truth because we're losing our country, and these people want us to be silent. And if we don't speak the truth, if we're not willing to sacrifice anything, we're just going to fall for everything. And I've sacrificed everything, you know. I've had everything taken from me, and I've rebuilt, and I'm now on a free speech platform that these people cannot ban, they cannot silence, and that's why they're so triggered, because they don't want me telling the truth about these evil people in our country. And you deserve to know the truth. You deserve to know the truth, and you deserve to have it told to you in a very uncensored, unleashed manner. And that's what I'm going to keep doing, because we're not going to get Trump back in office unless we are able to speak truthfully and honestly about the issues in our country without being worried about all the DEI rules. Some people call it DIE instead of DEI because it leads to death, right? It leads to death in our country, which is true, right? If you want to call it DIE policies. Whatever you want to call it, it's just not healthy for our country. We need to be able to speak openly and freely. And if you're watching and you're offended, I'm sorry, then turn it off, right? You don't have to follow me. Nobody's putting a gun to your head and telling you that you have to watch my show. But they can't get enough, right? As I like to say and joke all the time, these leftists, they just can't quit me. So nobody's forcing them to watch the show. I think that they secretly enjoy the jokes, and they probably enjoy the content as well. But hey, anything for a paycheck, right? They get paid to write these hit pieces and to contribute to the downfall of our country. But we know better. And here at Loomer Unleashed, we are committed to exposing all of these evil people. So I hope that all of you enjoy your weekend. Happy February 1st. January flew by very fast. I'm sure it's going to be a great month. And until next time, I'll see you next week on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for another live episode of Loomer Unleashed. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.
There is a young female journalist, conservative journalist, by the name of Laura Loomer.
If America's men acted like Laura Loomer, our problems will be fixed in about 5 minutes.
Chained herself. She chained herself.